Hello friends, I'm Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. You can call me whatever you'd like. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. We're gonna be seeing if it'll fit. A Mobula6 HDZero into a Fractal65 frame. Get your mind out of the gutter, you disgusting, disgusting fellow. Disgusting people. Hide user on this channel. There we go. Spammers wasted no time tonight. We're also going to be checking out some prototype motors from FPV. And you're going to really get to see the difference that KV makes. We're going to try bi-blades and then tri-blades on an 0802 30,000 kV motor. And then we're going to swap the motors out to 0802 20,000 kV. And we're just going to leave the tri-blades on because 20,000 kV on bi-blades would be like, I mean, for most people would be like, oh, it's a tiny whoop. But for me, I'd be like, ugh, it's a old school tiny whoop. So yeah, that'll be cool. But I mean, that's a drastic jump in KV. Like I would kind of rather show you guys like 30,000 versus 25,000, but there'll be some good sort of discussions around this, and maybe we'll try a quad blade. Maybe we'll put these 0802s on quad blades. So Northern Tier says 702 40,000 kV prototypes. 40,000 kV would probably be too much. I think that 30,000 kV is as high as we need to go on 702s. I think that 802s could actually, I think they would still work up to like 32,000, maybe even 34,000, but I don't need more power. Like the 30,000 kV motors give all the power that I think we're really going to need. But yeah, there's so yeah, this should inspire some cool questions, conversations, whatever. The problem with quad blade props, and maybe we'll try it, maybe we won't. The reason I say maybe we won't is because I have tried them a whole bunch of times, and basically the 0802 stator does not have enough stator volume to work really well with the quad blade props. The quad blade props are just too heavy, basically, for an 802. 803 or like an 1102, they would probably work, but then the rig is getting so heavy that it's like, what's the point? So, I don't know, we'll see. I doubt that we'll test the quad blades tonight, unless you guys really, really want me to. But yeah, we'll see how these tri-blades are on these lower KV 802s. And this will also be another good like sort of data point as to if you are to buy by accident these like lower KV motors, 19,000, 20,000, what does that look like? Because for the last like 6 months, all you guys have seen me fly is these like mega KV motors with mega power. And like, so my sort of flight style has been catered to having that extra power. I think it'll be super valuable for you guys to see what happens to the flight, to like my flight style, which is very like sort of three-dimensional, using verticality a lot, when you take away a lot of that power. So yeah, should be kind of fun. In the chat, Myopic FPV was first, Todd's Nightmare was first, Left Step was next, Kevin Sumner, Northern Tier, Danzilla the Terrible, 8-Bit FPV, Chris Quads, Tuner Taxi, Brandon's Baked Beans, Danzilla the Terrible, Aaron FPV, June Loco, sexfinds.info, Metal Dirtskin, the Sib Twins, June Loco, Frank Nicholas, Brandon Baked Beans, Charles Marseille, William Loesch, Jay-Z's in the house, Bannister Post. I think I got everybody. If you want the gangly man to scream your name half as loud as he can, gotta get in early, you gotta say something in the chat. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you gotta do is type CiottiFPV. When you do that, it'll light up an orange. You can put an @ but you don't have to. You can do that with each other too. If you want to get somebody's attention in chat, type their name, spell it correctly, and for them, it'll light up an orange. It won't light up an orange for you, but this is my full-time job. If you like this kind of content and you want to see it continue, I need your help. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com. Patreon helps me out the most. You can join for 10 cents a day. There's an Etsy store with a bunch of really cool stuff. There's a Fiverr page. There are a bunch of affiliate links. The affiliate links are free money. Please, when you're doing orders on the internet, think about your content creating friends that are struggling to eat and get health insurance. And click someone's affiliate link before you check out. It doesn't affect you in any way other than the 3 seconds it takes you to click the link, and then they get 1 to 6% of your entire order, and it makes a huge difference, and we can keep making the content that you like to watch. Envy of the Birds is here and hit as well. Denzo the Terrible said, he said, word to your moms, CiottiFPV and everyone. June Loco said, what's good, my FPV peeps collective. William Loesch says, I don't want to wait around for the race edition Mobula6 to restock. Am I doing myself a disservice by going with the standard KV version? It's a whoopsies and an 81 ASAP. In my opinion, William, the motors less than 25,000 KV are completely worthless. That's for the way that I fly. If you want to race, or if you just don't want to fly using the vertical that much, the lower KV motors will get you a little bit of runtime, a little bit extra runtime. But you can't do a lot of this. You're going to get to see tonight when I put these 20,000 kV motors on. You're going to see how much more limited I am in what I'm able to do. Power loops become damn near impossible. Matty flips are almost impossible. Technically, you can still do them, but you have to do them in a much different way. You have to do them like you basically have to cheat them. So it kind of depends. What kind of flying do you want to do? Do you want to fly the way that you fly with all of your other rigs? Or do you want to fly like an RC car where you just go forward, backwards, left, and right? Because the low kV motors are mainly for forward, backward, left, and right. You lose the ability to throw it up in the air, which for me is a really huge deal, and it is a deal breaker. But for you guys, it might not be, especially if you want to race. If you want to race, the lower kV motors are going to give you more runtime, and that's something that racers really dig. So yeah, it's all about what you want to do with the rig. For me personally, less than 25,000 kV is completely worthless. Bannister Post says, hey, just wanting, I'm about to try building one of these with T-Motor M0802 25,000 kV. What do you think of them? I can't really say anything about them. I've never personally tried them, so anything that I would say about, well, I can actually say something about them. So, oddly, I looked those motors up today. And here's what I can say. This is actually kind of an important conversation to have. So, we've talked about motors in the past, and the way that the motor manufacturers change kV, which is that do they have a top-down shot? Yeah, they do. So these are the windings here. Hold on. Let me move it over a little bit. These are the windings. Each stator pole, each one of these green bastards is a stator pole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know where I started counting, but these are all stator poles. Each one of the stator poles has a specific number of windings on it. The number of windings that each one of these stator poles has controls the kV. If you wind a stator pole with there's this one here. If you were to take this motor apart and take one wind of this copper off of each one of these stator poles, the kV would go up. The problem is the amount of copper that is in each one of these stator poles would go down. And when you take copper away from the stator poles, you take power away. So the RPM would go up, but the power would go down. And that's a problem. Like, technically speaking, in some cases, you can get a little bit more power from the kV going up, but then you're going to lose. That's going to be like power at the absolute top of the throttle, because basically on a lower kV motor, if you go full throttle, it's going to spin up to a certain RPM. If you raise the kV, it's going to try to spin up to a higher RPM. So if you have propellers on the motor that are not too draggy, believe it or not, by removing a wind and leaving the thickness of the copper the same, technically you can get more power, because it in this case where the propeller is not too draggy, it will be able to spin that propeller up to a higher RPM. If you have a propeller on there that is either too draggy or just like the exact right match for that lower kV, you're actually going to lose power, because it's going to try to send it up to a higher RPM and it's going to fail, and it's just going to eat the rest of that electricity, and it's going to basically turn it into heat. So what the motor manufacturers are supposed to do is every time they change kV, they're supposed to change the thickness of the windings, so that when you remove one wind, in this case, you've beefed up the thickness of the rest of the winds that are still remaining, so that you maintain the amount of copper in the motor. And what that looks like practically is they'll weigh the same. Both, if you do it properly, 25, in this case, 25,000 kV and 22,000 kV, they will weigh exactly the same, because the 25,000 kV motor will have thicker windings, thicker copper, and one less wind, or maybe two less. I don't know what the actual number is, but you can only subtract or add one wind at a time, right? And then the 22,000 kV motors would have an extra wind, and they would need thinner gauge copper to fit. Typically what the motor manufacturers try to squeeze as much copper on as possible. So typically you'll notice that in between the stator poles, there's no extra room. That's what you want. You want as much copper on those stator poles as possible. And most of the motor manufacturers are good at doing that. So if there's a motor where there are 2 kVs and you weigh those two different motors and they don't weigh exactly the same, that's a problem. Well, it's a problem if the higher kV motor weighs less. And I'll direct your attention to Exhibit A. I don't know. So they've got these weighed down to 2 decimal points. So this is the problem right here. But in theory, this is a sensitive enough scale to be able to tell the difference between these two motors. The lower kV motor is 2.04 grams with the wire. The 25,000 kV motor is 1.93 grams with the wire. It's off the bottom of the screen. Sorry, guys. Here, I'll zoom in. And that right there, my friends, is not a good sign. But right here, with wire, this is the problem. The motor wires carry a significant amount of weight. So the fact that these weights are with the wire kind of, I mean, in theory, T-Motor has cut all of their motor wires to the exact right length, but maybe they didn't. So we can't rely on this, but this is not a good sign. This is a sign that they did not, and the reason that this happens is that we demand that everything in FPV be cheap, either because we're all broke-ass bastards, maybe that's just me, or because we smash this stuff when we break it a lot, and spending a bunch of money on something that you're going to break just seems crazy, right? So we demand that they sell their stuff really cheap, and one of the ways that you can make motors cheaper is to set your machine up that does the windings and just leave it alone. The correct way to do it, and when you make all your 22, that you configure the machine for 22,000 kV, and then when you go to make 25,000 kV, you just tell the machine, one less wind, please, go. It takes more time, and then the product costs more if you do all of your 22,000 kV motors, and then you pull the copper out of the machine, you retool the machine for the thicker gauge of copper, and you tell the machine to do one less wind, or 2 less winds, or whatever it may be. In this case, if the amount of wire on each one of these motors is absolutely identical, then what they did is they did not rewind the machine. But if the propeller on the motor is efficient enough, let's use the word efficient, if it's not super draggy, even though the higher kV motor has less copper and less total power, it might be able to spin up to a higher RPM. On a 20,000 kV motor, like on a bi-blade, for example. On a bi-blade, a 20,000, well, these are what, 22? A 22,000 kV motor, what it basically might do when you go full throttle is it might go all the way up to the motor's rated max kV. And then the 25,000 kV motor, because the motor has a higher, it is wound in a way that will allow it to spin up higher, even though it has less power. It might allow that propeller to spin up more. If you put these two motors on quad blade propellers, what you would find is that the 25,000 kV motor has less power and less efficiency, because the power that's being sent to the motor it's not going to get to its top kV. It's going to get to a lower kV, and then the extra power that it's getting is just turning into heat. That is an overpropped scenario. The way that you can tell a motor is overpropped is that the motor gets too hot on a rig that's otherwise clean. And also, you'll notice that like as you get towards full throttle, it'll stop making more power. And you can hear it. It'll be like if this is the throw of the throttle, it'll go like, and like up here, it'll just be like, you'll be able to move the throttle from like 100% to 95% to 90%, and the pitch won't get any higher because it won't be able to spin the motor any farther. What you want in all cases, you always want for the motor to continue to increase in pitch as you go all the way up to the very top of the throttle. Unfortunately, we can't do that on the thrust stand because the thrust stand is loaded. It's static. You can only test that in the air. So sometimes on the thrust stand, you'll have that situation where when it hits 90% throttle, the motor will hit its maximum RPM, and then the extra 10% being sent to it won't make any more power. And when you look at the dyno graph, I got to do it backwards. If you look at the dyno graph, the motor will kind of lay over, is what we call it in the motorsport world. Yeah, what you want to see is for the motor, but again, on a thrust stand, it's common for the motor to lay over or for the motor to flatten out up top because it's static, because it's bolted down to the desk. Whereas in the air, as you spin more RPMs, as you raise the throttle, the quad moves faster and faster, and the incoming air starts coming in at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, and that allows the motor to continue to spin more and more and more and more and more. So there you go. That's what I can say about these T-Motor M0802 motors. So they might be totally good. This is the first time I've been weighing different KVs of motors for a while now, and every single time, well, typically they're from different motor manufacturers, at which point it's out the window. You can't tell anything because they design the motors completely differently, so the weights are all over the place. Maybe one has a thicker stator base on the bottom, maybe one has slightly longer wires. There's a million things that can cause different manufacturers of motor to weigh different amounts. I've had a couple of Happy Model made motors in different KVs that I've tried to weigh. Unfortunately, the wire length is different every single time, and that throws it out the window. The right way to do it would be to cut the leads off. You get a bunch of motors made by the same manufacturer in all of the different KVs. You cut the leads off, or even better yet, you desolder the leads and then solder wick the pad so that there's no extra solder on there, and then you weigh the motors. Unfortunately, none of the motor manufacturers list the thickness of the copper. I have asked Jesse and Zotek to bring this question up with Happy Model and any motor manufacturers that they work with, and the motor manufacturers, I don't know if they're playing dumb or if they actually don't know or what, but thus far we've been unable to get any understanding from them and or any data from them about the thickness of the copper. And it's really important, and that's really a shame, because it would be one of the best possible ways for us to dial in and figure out which KV is right for these tiny whoop motors. You know, the real world testing that we can do is super flawed, which we had a really good discussion about on Monday night stream. And Joshua and I really banged our heads into Monday all day. So yeah, it's a shame, and it's really annoying. It's really, really, really annoying. I wish that I was about to say I wish that Jesse from Tiny Whoop just sold individual motors, I can probably, which I'm doing right now, message him and say, hey bro, can I do some myth busting? Can you mail me just one of each different KV 0802 or 0702 so that I can do some myth busting? Unfortunately, by doing that, it could like hurt the sales of one of those motors, right? Because like, although most people aren't going to understand any of this, so I'm sure it won't really matter. Yo, bro, trying to do some myth busting on motor KVs versus the thickness of the windings. Any chance you can send me just one of each of the KVs of any of your motors? 0702 / 0802 / EX 0802, etc. Trying to do some myth busting on motor KVs versus the thickness of the winding. There's going to be one of each of your. Glad to pay for them. All right, cool. We'll see what Jesse says. Yeah, that's really the only way to do it. It has to be the same manufacturer, the same exact motor design. My fear is that, oh man, I'm also going to have to buy a more sensitive scale. My scale is not sensitive enough. It only does 1 decimal place. So I'm going to have to look around. Anybody in chat happen to know of like a known good quality, not expensive, like $20, $30 scale that does 2 decimal points? I mean, since we're weighing things back to back, it doesn't have to be an amazing scale. Like the weight. That's funny. Jesse says I'm working on a similar project. I wish we were neighbors. Yeah, the repeatability of the scale, where scales tend to struggle, is repeatability. In this case, that doesn't matter because I'm going to weigh them one after the other. So yeah, we'll be fine. I just learned so much about winding. Nice. Works for me. All right, cool. Jesse and I are going to talk tomorrow. So yeah, there you go. There's a big long answer to a question. Where are we at on chat here? Great question, by the way. Come on, chat. Where the hell was I? Yeah, getting the weight being correct doesn't matter. All that matters is the differential between one and the other. If it says that they're 100 grams, that doesn't matter, as long as it says the first one that I weigh is 100.1 grams and the second one that I weigh is 100.00 grams. You know what I mean? Like that's really all that matters. And scales tend to do that pretty well. And it actually doesn't even matter if that differential is accurate. If it just shows that the higher KV motor weighs less than the lower KV motor, good to go. And then we weigh the next 2 motors. And what I'm wanting to figure out, so like Tiny Whoop is the perfect, the Tiny Whoop motors are the perfect ones to do this with because they've got like 22,000, 25,000, 27,000, and 30,000. I think there's one more in there. They have a bunch of different KVs. And so what I'm looking for is how often, and this is what I've asked Jesse and Zotek to ask the motor manufacturers, and they just haven't gotten any useful info back from them. What we need to know is how often do they change, how often do they retool the machine? Maybe they don't. Maybe they set the machine up for the lowest possible KV, and then just change the number of winds. One less wind, one less wind, one less wind. when you look at like the gaps in between the KV, you can kind of learn a little bit about this. Like with these tiny whoop 0802s and 0702s, we tend to see gaps of 2000 kV. When you look at like Tiny Whoop's motor selection, when you look at Weebleed FPV's motor selection, there is commonly a 2000 kV gap in between each of the motors. What that says to me is one wind is 2000 kV. That I could be wrong, because I believe this, I'm not 100% sure of, but I believe the thickness of the copper also relates to the KV, so it might be like one less wind, or it might be thicker, but I think it's one less wind. I think that's how it works, but I'm a little foggy on the other part. By the way, the KVs get tested unloaded. The KVs get tested with no propeller on, so the raw amount of copper has pretty much nothing to do with the KV, because unloaded, these motors can pretty much spin up to full RPM. I mean, regardless of if there was absolutely like no copper on the windings, yeah, they would have a problem. But that's not true, because our motors are designed to crank a propeller, which is very draggy. So, but yeah, there you go. All right, let me get back into chat here. Charles Marseille says, been thinking that you should show what happens when a pilot changes its available power, whether more or less. Yeah, my favorite way to do that is with motor limiting, and I've played that game quite a bit, and you guys should too. Motor limiting is an incredible tool, and the best way to use motor limiting is to go out and fly, and then chop your motor limiting down by like 10%, and fly another battery, and just see if it's like, if you're miserable. Like, if you're not miserable, chop it another 10%. Like, in my opinion, you should fly with the minimum amount of power possible, because the less power that you have, the more throttle resolution you have. Our throttle throw is only about this far, and our quads make a lot of power. So the less power the quad has in that tiny little throttle throw, if you just move it a little bit and you've got a ton of power, it's going to jump up in the air. And that looks like a mistake. What you want is to be able to move the throttle a little bit and just have it adjust a little bit. That way, if you have like slightly shaky fingers, or if you just make a little mistake, it's not going to show up as much in the flight footage. So yeah, throttle limiting is hugely important in almost all cases. Yeah, you should. It's less fun to have less power. Although I don't actually agree with that. But it's an easy way of, because it's fun to go full throttle and hurl it up into the sky, right? Once you've done that a couple of thousand times, the novelty wears off, and then like I'm there. So for me, what's fun is flying really accurately, really close to the ground, really close to objects, and one way to do that better, other than just stick time, is to have more throttle resolution. So yeah. Envy the Bird says, me too. Zotek is in the house. What's up, homie? Jay-Z says, I have V2s. I need to get the feed out to my laptop. Thanks for the shout out. V2s. What V2s? Metadertson says, I was thinking that might be related to your 5-inch motor testing experience. Maybe you can tell the difference once more you get outside of a certain power to weight sweet spot. I'm confused. I was thinking that might be related to your 5-inch motor testing experience. Maybe you can tell the difference more once you get outside of a certain power to weight sweet spot. I think what Metal Dirtskin is saying is that when Joshua and I did the testing on Monday, the rigs that we were testing are too close. Like the amount of power that they have is too close to one another for us to be able to tell the difference. And that is more than likely true. what we were, the point of the testing was not to see which motor had more power. It was to see if the flight feel, right? Like, so when evaluating motors, you can put them on a thrust stand, and you can get a lot of really valuable data. If the data, this is not me throwing Bob under the bus. It's gonna sound like it is, but it's not. I love Bob. I was just talking to him. He's an awesome human being. We're lucky to have him in FPV. This is gonna sound like I'm throwing him under the bus. I don't know of another way of describing this. If you come out with a new motor and someone puts it on a thrust stand and it does not perform well compared to the other motors that are available or previous motors or something like that, and that's actually not the case here. Here's the full story. Chris Rosser tested Bob's old Imperials, which are either 2506 or 2507. I actually don't know. I think they're 2506. They did not perform as well on the thrust stand in any measurable way as Zing 2207s. So then, if this is where it's going to sound like I'm throwing Bob under the bus, and I'm not. Swear to God, I'm not. The easy button for Bob at that point is to say, oh, well, the data doesn't tell the whole story. It's all about the flight feel. And like, Bob is not the first person to say that. Okay, like, that's been a very common thing in FPV forever, long before FPV cycle even existed. All right, this is why I'm not throwing Bob under the bus. But with this story, this is the easiest way to describe this. And so what Joshua and I were doing was trying to test flight feel. So we took, and the reason why I told Joshua that we needed to do the test without audio is because I was pretty sure that if one motor made more power than another, or just, I've heard motors that make the same amount of power that sound different, if we could hear, after Joshua explained to me, all I need to do is say if it's the same or different, I thought, well, shit, we're going to be able to hear the difference between these quads, and it's just going to be like, all right, I'm taking off, full throttle. Yep, it's different. It sounds different. Done. And that's going to completely wreck the test, right? So I said, look, we need to do this with no audio at all. So we put earplugs in, and then we put big head muffs over the earplugs. And we could still, like, kind of a little bit hear the rig, but not really. And that's a problem. That in itself was a problem. And like, Joshua and I actually talked briefly about this today. Like, one of the other things we talked about is like, how do we do this? Like, how do we quantify flight feel in an objective manner? And the main reason that Joshua stopped the testing with me flying after only 9 batteries when we were going to do 30 is that, and I was fucking certain that I could feel, with flight feel, I was certain that I could feel differences between the rigs that he was giving me. And I think at one point he gave me the same rig 4 times in a row. And I flip-flopped back and forth thinking it was different. I got it right once and I got it wrong 3 times. And that right there, that's the problem. That is it. And our current theory as to why that was happening is that when you're trying to find something different, basically it's too subtle. The differences are too subtle. And with that subtlety comes kind of placebo, but kind of just you're struggling so hard to try to tell the difference that if anything happens, if any one little weird thing happens, you jam that you roll right and you think maybe it rotates a little bit quicker, you fucking, oh, there it is. I knew I was going to be able to find it. There's the difference. Okay, so that means, and then you just, and so what we're kind of doing when we're testing is we're just like, we're trying too hard to find these things that are different about it. And then once we've done that, it's over. Like once we think we've maybe seen that thing, that completely ruins the testing in our head, because now we're just gonna fucking focus on that. And well, that one time we already kind of felt the difference. And so now the next time you do it, it's like, yup, and now confirmation bias comes on strong. So yeah. It might not be possible, to be really honest. It might I am kind of leaning towards flight feel being a meaningless metric. And that that just should not be anything that we pay any attention to when buying motors or props, or certainly ESCs and flight controllers. You can certainly not tell the difference, unless they're broken or just mismanufactured, between an ESC and a flight controller. This has been a common theme with frames for a long time. There was, when frames were really bad, you could kind of tell a difference between frames. You can't anymore. You just can't. Sorry. Like, you could see the difference, and they're going to crash different, and they're going to have different levels of like livability. There are plenty of ways to choose frames, but flight feel is not one of them. Chief among the reasons there, and also this is what muddies all of this, is the PID loop. And Quad66 dropped a comment on Monday's video that's just brilliant, talking about that. Pitch, roll, and yaw are all controlled by the PID loop. Our set point, our stick movements go into the PID loop, and the PID loop tries to control all of that and have it exactly match our rates. So right there, like 90%, it's just a total number out of my ass, of the flight feel is gone, because and that's what the PID loop is that's what we want the PID loop to do. We want the PID loop to do exactly that, so that, because that's how you get a rig that performs well, right? We want the rig to perfectly match our rates at all time, and the PID loop does an amazing job of doing that. We would almost need to turn off the PID loop to really feel the differences between these motors. We can't do that. What's cool about that is that what that means is that we should stop wasting so much time hemming and hawing over which is the best motor, because it kind of doesn't matter. Buy the one that looks the coolest. Buy the one from the manufacturer that you think has the coolest name. Whatever. Like there's buy the ones that are the most durable. Although they're all pretty much just as durable. Although AMAX just put out a 2306 that might actually be more durable. All of our current 5-inch motors have a hollow titanium motor shaft. You can see right through it when you turn the motor like this. AMAX now has a motor, 2 motors. They're called like the Bando. They're Bando series, where the top of the shaft is hollow. The bottom of the shaft is hollow. The bottom of the shaft has to be hollow because you thread your screw into it. I don't know why they made the top of the shaft hollow. Yes, I do, because the top of the shaft never bends because it's got the prop nut on it. But the middle of the shaft, where it bends, that is the most common failure point for 5-inch motors. It's solid. It's solid titanium in the middle of the motor shaft. And that could that kind of can't, there's kind of no way that won't be stronger. Because again, that is the most common failure point, is the middle of the motor in between the bell and the bearings. That's where the motor shaft always bends. So that's kind of a big deal. Unfortunately, it's a heavy. Unfortunately, it's a heavy motor. It's a 33 or 34 gram 2306. They also make it in 2207. So, but that's real interesting, man. That's a big deal. That's a bigger deal than I think anybody is going to realize. What might happen though is that the shit just rolls downhill, right? We might get a 1% increase in strength because maybe, and maybe this is why nobody else has done this before, maybe once that part of the motor bends, now that it's no longer going to bend, maybe the bearings just blow up and the bearing instantly becomes the weak point. We're at a point in development with 5-inch rigs where there are no more big gains. Like I have a funny feeling that those motors aren't going to be twice as durable. I have a feeling that this shit's going to roll right downhill and we're going to find the next most fragile point. But that actually is that is a big deal. If I bet you it's the bearings. If we confirm that it is the bearings, there is a fix for that, bigger bearings. And we've already played around with that. Certain manufacturers have played around with that. Bob has played around with that. So instead of a 4mm inner diameter, I think it's 7mm outer diameter, we go up to an 8mm outer diameter or a 9mm outer diameter. Although you can't get the outer diameter can't be too big because then it impedes on the stator poles. So there is a limit to that. But yeah, there you go. Man, we are fucking ranting tonight. Envy of the Bird says, me too. It's been so long that I have no idea what that's in reference to. Oh, he's here. Zotex says, good evening, all we bleed. Jay-Z, oh wait, no, I'm repeating comments now. Brandon's Baked Beans dropping the CiottiFPV.com link. Thank you, dude. That's where you guys can support me, and I need your support to keep doing this. I am funded by you guys 100%. Not 100%. 99.9%. License to Drive says, I've completed the universal T-mount antenna, which holds it below and out the back. Very cool. Hit that link, fellas. And favorite License to Drive's channel on Thingiverse because it's a good one. You want it. Oh, that's another website. But yeah, click that link. License to Drive's TPU stuff is amazing. Tuner Taxi says, what are your thoughts on the Babito motors? They are a great KV, but they are a size that I'm kind of no longer interested in. 0702s are what I'm running on all the Tiny Whoops. I don't really have anything that's on 0802s. I've been down the 0802 road. It's a little bit too big for Tiny Whoops. Other people don't mind heavier Tiny Whoops, and for those people, they're probably going to be great. Yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately, the only bit of feedback that I've read about them on Facebook is that they were getting too hot and melting. But that was one person. I'm sure they've sold more than one set. People tend to complain when things go wrong. People don't tend to post their good experience about stuff. So, but yeah, 0802 is not a size that I'm really using anymore. So I'm not going to buy them. They're awful expensive. Pretty motors though, and a great KV. If you're into 0802s, they're probably really good. Rock Caller says, hey. Brandon's Baked Bean says gap fill percentage. There we go. There's some technical terms explaining the amount of copper that is wound around the stator poles. Charles Marseille says, careful. Often weighing instruments use high bit ADC and can show a 2 decimal measurement, but in fact the certainty of the value is 10 or 100 more than that. Yeah, it's tough to build a scale that's super accurate, but usually if you weigh two things and one of them is a different weight than the other, and you can test this by just weighing them over and over again. You weigh A, you weigh B, you weigh A, you weigh B, you weigh A, you weigh B. If you do it a bunch of times in a row like that, and A is always heavier than B, chances are that A is not actually lighter than B. Chances are that, and that's all we want to know. That's all I want to know by weighing these motors is which ones are heavier. I don't care how much heavier. I just want to know between 22,000 and 24 and 26 and 28 and 30, when does the weight, because what should happen is that the weight should be roughly the same. What I'm looking for is, so if we have A, B, C, D, E, all the different KVs, and it's like an A, you go from A to B, and it's a little bit less heavy, and then B to C, and it's a little bit less heavy. But then C to D, all of a sudden it's more heavy. That means between C and D, they change the windings. They change the thickness of the copper. I just lost my fill light. I'll have to do. So that's all I really care about. And yeah, most scales will, at the very least, be correct with, in terms of which, something going up or down. The numbers going up and down. And especially if you don't just weigh them once, right? If you weigh A, then B, then A, then B, then A, then B, and every single time you get the same result, even with a cheap scale, chances are that, yeah, it's going to be correct. It would be great to have a scale that was accurate enough to look at the amount of change, but in this case, I don't even really care about that. I just want to see when the at what point does the copper get changed out, retooled in the machine. And then that's the point. Like, the heavier the motor, the better in that respect. Metanerdskin says, I almost feel like for tiny whoops, all of our great ideas go out the window once the motors get full of cat hair pubes. Well, I would agree with you back in the days of brushless motors, brushed motors, but these brushless motors, the pubes don't get wound around the part of the motor that does the work. So, yeah, fear not. Pubes are no longer anywhere near as big of a deal as they used to be. These new rigs are very repeatable. And that's something I've actually like noticed. And I mean, not to mention that there's no brushes to wear out too. Like, the old tiny whoops were just, every time you flew them, they felt different. Because every time you flew it, it had a little bit less power, literally. And then there was shit wrapped around. So yeah. Bannister Post says, thanks so much for the knowledge, amazing info. What motor or manufacturers do it right for 0802, 25,000, 30,000? I tried a super chat, but I'm in Mexico. I'll get you back. Thanks, man. Thank you, Bannister Post, for the kind words and for the attempt. The question is, what motors or manufacturers do it right? We don't know. What I can say is that in my testing and in other people's testing, the Happy Model motors tend to just make more power. Like, I have tested multiple 25,000 kV motors back to back to back, and it has been very obvious that the Happy Model motors made more power. And that's a much more accurate, and the main way is that you hear it. Like, you can hear when a motor makes more power. It winds up higher. Instead of, it's going to go, I mean, it's just like, that is just obvious. Boom, done. That, the pitch, and we can tell very subtle differences in pitch, too. With your eyeballs in the goggles, you can't tell how quickly a quad is accelerating. Like, the best chance you have is to, like, pull it up to an object that's like 50 feet tall and to blip the throttle the exact same pace over and over and over again and see how high it climbs that thing. Unfortunately, when you do that, you get your pacing a little bit different every time. So, and the battery discharges and any number of other nonsense. If you're not as close to the object, it's going to look like and if you didn't start at the same, again, too many variables. That's what Josh and I learned on Monday, is that there are too many variables to get any kind of accurate, I think, info out of testing by flying. Other than you fly it and you say, I like it. Done. If you fly something and you like it, that's it. Stop thinking about it. Fly that piece of gear until they discontinue it. It won't be long. They discontinue shit every fucking year in this goddamn hobby. Like, so just, yeah, fly something if you like it. If it doesn't make you want to die, then awesome. Buy a whole bunch of them and just beat the hell out of them. and then when they discontinue it, you're forced to try something else. Try something else. If you don't hate it, good to go. Fly that until it's... That's my advice. Shirt of the day. Yeah. Bulldog FPV with a $5 super chat, 4 Bannister posts. Look at you guys. God, I have the best fucking crowd in all of FPV. I swear to God. Very cool of you, Bulldog FPV. Thank you, homie. He says, info helps me decide also. Hell yeah. I'm going to really start, but you guys are going to get sick of me saying this, but I'm going to try to mention as often as possible that, like, info's great, but just... I hate this fucking, just go fly. Like, I hate that. 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 I hate it. 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 But, we got to get past the analysis paralysis is something that... Analysis paralysis is my favorite way of summing up, like, our constant want to read lots of reviews, do lots of research to find the absolute best whatever. And it's like with I don't know if it's like this with you guys. I suspect it is, but like it's like that with everything in my life, man. Oh, I want to buy a set of drill bits. Well, I'll be goddamned if I don't get the best set of drill bits that exists. Let me go on YouTube. Oh, there's a guy called Project Farm that tests everything. Oh my God, let me watch 40 fucking hours of his videos so that I know every single thing in the garage that's the absolute best possible. Oh, wait, it doesn't matter because I already got the Milwaukee battery, and I'll be goddamned if I get one battery from every manufacturer. So it doesn't matter anyway because the first tool that I bought that uses a battery that can be used in other tools, that's it. So why? Why did I watch the 4 goddamn reviews on blowers when I know I'm going to get the fucking Milwaukee because I have 3 of the batteries already? But it really is like that with everything, right? Amazon reviews. Just Google, right? Any product. Like, type into fucking Google, what is the best anything in the world? And there will be 10,000 results of comparisons between stuff. The flip... So, in that respect, just close your eyes and point... Or find a it goes both ways, right? Because it's like, we don't want to have complete and total brand... I've told you guys, hey, throw out brand loyalty. Well, there is a good part about brand loyalty, which is that some brands just do a better job, right? So that's the good part of brand loyalty. The bad part is, like, what if they make a bad product? So there, you know, it's a hell of a gray area. So on one hand, it's like, yo, stop wasting that time. Just the first fucking thing that comes up, buy it. But unfortunately, there's a lot of garbage. And you spend $100 on a piece of garbage that falls apart. Well, then that time that you would have spent looking at reviews just would have been $100 an hour if you spent an hour, right? So yeah, you got to walk that line. There's a fine line of like, how much time am I going to spend here? 10 minutes? Awesome. 10 minutes is not a lot of time. Do a little bit of research and boom, I think this might be the right one. Buy it, move on. Next thing. So yeah, I'm going to start to bang on a little bit more about that. Of like, give it some time, do a little bit of research, and then go. Don't do any of your research on Facebook. Don't listen to anyone on Facebook. I can say that with full confidence. Unless it's me posting on Facebook, but that only happens like once a month, so probably won't be. Charles Marseille says, no good scale less than $100, so I'll just buy whatever. I'll spend 10 minutes looking at reviews, and then I'll buy whichever one might be. Doesn't get all horrible reviews. The other problem now on Amazon is that there's a lot of fake reviews. So the value of reviews has really gone to hell, unfortunately. But you can kind of tell which reviews are bullshit. Zotex says, this is funny. Jesse P sent me to test weights of LiPo's professional digital mini scale model PL50C on Amazon. Is that a good one? I'm going to open it up in a tab here. Let me just copy that. Oh, you jackass. I gotta add a C to the end. I wouldn't copy this C. All right. If we all buy the same scale, it won't matter. Tuner Taxi says, can't you also use calipers to measure the thickness of wire on each motor? You could. You would have to disassemble the motor, though. And I don't know. So there's the copper, but then there's an enamel layer. If the enamel layer is a different thickness, you're screwed. We need to get that spec from the manufacturers. They have it. They've bought the goddamn winding material. They have that spec. That spec needs to be in every fucking spec list on every single motor that exists in FPV. It is absolutely insane. Let's look at a motor here. Look at how this infuriates me. This infuriates me. Get FPV usually has some of the resellers strip out a lot of the specs. Get FPV does a pretty good job like giving you the majority of the specs. This is not me picking on Tommy, but the resistance of the motor, that's worthless. What are we gonna do with that's probably not worthless. Battery 4 to 6S, that's pretty worthless. I mean, I guess it's kind of that has some value to noobs. Stator diameter 23 millimeter. We knew that from the name of the motor. Bearings, they all use the same bearing. NSK, sometimes there's NSK and then there's, I forget the other company. No load current, this is probably worthless. I don't know. There's not any super worthless numbers. Sometimes there's some like full blown, just completely useless specs that we get. And then we can't get the spec, one of the most important specs, which is the thickness of the copper. Oh, here we go. Here are the things directly from T-Motor. We can trash on T-Motor for a second. No, that's all good info. Here we go. Now we're talking. Why do we need any of this? Why do we need any of this? This is all standardized, the T-mount. They tell you if it's 9x9 mount or 12x12 mount. Why do we don't need this? We don't need this height. We don't need the height of the shaft here. The height of the shaft is maybe useful. Peak current 10S 15.8 amps. That's useless. Max power. There's just a lot of useless specs that we get. It's maddening that we don't get lead 24 pound 120 millimeter. What does that mean? Smart people probably. Some of this is probably good info. Idle current? What? Peak current? What? I don't know. I could be, for the record, I could be wrong about all this. That all might be really good specs, but it seems pretty worthless. Brandon Woodford says, Frankfurt Arsenal DS750 is the scale I use for reloading. I have two, and they are dead on. Only does 50 grams max, though. That's okay. No, if I'm gonna buy a scale, I want it to go up to like, oh man, that's gonna be a problem. Any scale that's accurate down low is not gonna be accurate. I would like to have a scale that goes up to like 800, 900 grams. And those ones are probably not going to. From what Jesse said, though, he might. He said he learned a lot today, literally just today, about the windings. He might have the answers that we're looking for. He might have been able to figure this out. Tuner Taxi is right, though. I forget about this all the time because I don't want to ruin a motor. You should be able to just rip the motor apart, take the windings out, and caliper the windings to figure out the thickness. I'm a cheap bastard, so I'm not willing to sacrifice a motor like that. But that's technically the right way to do it. I don't know. I don't know if the thickness of the enamel is going to mess up that measurement. I wouldn't think so, because I would think that the thickness of the enamel is going to be the same across all motors. Zotek is in chat. Zotek, you got a set of calipers? You willing to sacrifice a couple of your motors? That would be a really I mean, that's the right way to do it, because what we're trying to figure out is the thickness of the windings. We're not like using weight. I want to use weight because it's non-destructive. But Zotek, if you're willing to sacrifice a couple of motors, yeah, you could be the hero of tonight's CiottiFPV chat. It's 7:42 already, and we haven't done anything other than talk shit. But it's been good shit talking. So, Glowstick spinning says, thanks for everything. I wouldn't be flying without you. Thanks for being so awesome. Thank you for the kind words, my man. That means a lot. It really does. And you are certainly welcome. It is my pleasure. License to Drive says, this link is a picture showing 3 universal T-mount antenna designs I've done. Drop down horizontal, vertical. Click that link, motherfuckers. Sleepy CBR says, LOL. CiottiFPV's on a roll. Tuner Taxi says, so why are we testing these tiny motors tonight? Just for fun, just because I have them here. And I want to show you guys the difference in like, just the difference in possibilities when you take a whole bunch of power away from a tiny whoop. I think it's going to be pretty eye-opening. Quadbod says, new patron Glowstick Spinning didn't get a Discord invitation. Can you help him out, please? It's going to be a separate email. Sometimes there's a little delay on that email, but there will be a separate email with a Discord invitation. You can join my Discord by just going to CiottiFPV.com, scroll down, there's a Discord button, and why do I have this in... I have this in a... This is pretty dumb. So this is a Patreon-only channel called Welcome. And then look, I have this pinned post. If you're a patron... Oh, and not being tagged as a patron. Well, this is what you might need to do. Here, I'm going to drop the link. This is what you might need to do. Yeah. That is what you need to do. The answer to that, the solution is just join my Patreon. Oh, but then you won't be able to see that. Yeah, this is dumb that I have this in here. Because if you're not being tagged as a patron, you're not going to be able to see that welcome post. Yeah, that's stupid. So I need to make a welcome. I just need to take this Patreon-only welcome channel and put it in general. And in order to do that, can I just drag it? Yep. Oh, okay. Even though it's in the Patreon-only section, it is open to everyone. It is not a private channel. Permissions. Yeah. Okay. It's in the Patreon-only section, but it's not a private channel. Okay, yeah, so it's in there. So there you go. I did a thing right. I am going to change the name of the channel, though, to Welcome to the Gangly Gang. Edit channel. Welcome to the Gangly Gang. There we go. So yeah, that's how you do it. Everybody is able to look at that Welcome to the Gangly Gang channel, and that has your instructions on how to get it hooked up. Look at us go! Kevin Sumner says, lead is the wire lead. What? He also says, I use the current ratings to... Oh, right, in the specs. Kevin Sumner says, I use the current ratings to help tightly spec an ESC, more useful on 5-inch or larger. Interesting. I never thought of doing that. I just buy whatever I'm pretty fast and loose with what I buy. Marcel off Axis with a 5 Canadian Californian dollar super chat. Thank you, homie. He says, whoop whoop Bannister Post, Night Train Zotek. Northern Tier says, this is why we all dig the channel. Thank you, dude. Tuner Taxi says, we all have a burned up motor or two. Send them into CiottiFPV, everyone. That's true. Yeah, if you guys have ruined tiny whoop motors, send them over, and we can. I mean, the happy model are the ones that we care about. The happy model thus far, they seem to be making the best motors, and like unfortunately, we can't compare one manufacturer to the other. So like, we can only really get motors from the same manufacturer because. Michael D says Joshua has a 3 kilogram scale on FPV Know It All. Awesome. Zotek says we can sacrifice some motors to the whoop gods. There we go. That's all we really need. So now we can stop screaming and yelling about this. But it's really good info, and it's if you're seeing a motor that is being sold with KVs that are really close to one another, check the weights, because getting the higher KV motor that weighs less is potentially a bad thing. Might not be. It depends on the prop that you're running. A lot of variables. Too many variables. Monitorskin says, I found out my 1 kilogram scale was no good down at the gram level. Maybe a super expensive one would be, but I've had to get a separate tiny one. One of the things you can do to kind of hack that is to load it up with something and then put other stuff. It is why when you guys see me use my scale, I never use it like this. I always use it like this, because this piece of plastic is like 12 point something grams, and it weighs the scale down. So you think about the little pressure sensor in there. You know, when the scale is at 0, that pressure sensor is like, it's not actually completely unloaded because there's the weight of this silver guy pushing down on it. This is why scales can go into the negative a little bit. But if I've found, at least, that if I load it down even more with this, it tends to be more accurate, so that you can get the scale, you know, the pressure sensor, you can squish it down a little bit, and they tend to be a little bit more accurate when they're squished down a little bit more, rather than when they're like completely unloaded. Kevin Sumner says the wire lead is useful because with that info you can calculate the approximate weight of the wires and subtract them to get just the motor weight. That's true. That's true. If you know the gauge of the wire and the length of the wire and whatnot. Very true. Hey, we're caught up on chat. Cool. Let's get some shit done. Should we do the motor testing first, or should we? Well, let's try to put this in the Fractal frame, because that might be like a 4-minute long exercise, since the this camera might not fit into the TPU sling that is necessary. Oh man, I just made this camera go sideways. That's annoying. All right, so yeah, let's try this. This could be the world's fastest reframing attempt. This canopy broke last week, so we're going to remove it all the way. If I cannot put this rig into this Fractal frame, this Happy Model frame also broke. I'm going to put this into a Meteor frame. I'm going to swap out the canopy with the extra canopy that they give you, thank God. And this is just going to be like a cinematic rig, and that's fine. That's fine. Putting it into the Fractal frame is kind of just for funsies. It might make it perform a little bit better because it'll resist vibrations better than this floppy plastic bastard. But yeah, if we have to put this to get back together pretty much exactly as it is, but with a Meteor frame, it's no big deal. It's going to gain a little tiny bit of weight. I would love to put it back together in a cockroach frame, but they are heavier, and this thing really struggles with runtime, so I'm not going to go down that road. What's cool about the cockroach frame is it's much more stiff than the Meteor 65 frame, but it is, I want to say it's about a half a gram heavier. And while that doesn't sound like a lot, it actually is in the land of tiny whoops, which weigh 20-ish grams. So, not going to do that. One of the big reasons that the Meteor frame is so durable is that it is so floppy. So when you get into a crash, the frame deforms and that absorbs a bunch of the energy, rather than with a stiff frame, it's going to have to absorb the energy in a much shorter amount of time, and that typically that can lead to it cracking. The floppier frame will crack a lot less often. But the floppier frame will not deal with bent props as well. But that doesn't tend to be much of an issue with tiny whoops. That's why you got to like look at the whole system rather than just looking at one thing at a time. Because if you don't look at the whole system, then you can just say, oh, well, this frame is stiffer, so it must be better. Well, like, absolutely not. Like, maybe, sure, maybe, but you're only looking at one little tiny part of the equation. And unfortunately, that is not enough. Okay, so I might have to look up a picture of how this is supposed. I don't think it's gonna work, for the record. I don't think this is gonna fit over this camera. It's designed for a board camera. So we're gonna look at the Fractal65 frames. And then there should be a picture of one assembled. There we go. Okay, here it is. Wait, what? Okay. So it comes up. What? Comes up the... It comes up the back. What the hell? Okay. So that... What? How are there two things sticking out like that? What the hell? That goes down. All right, hold on. So there's two different TPU slings that they give you. Let's first make sure that they're the same thing. All right, they are the same thing. Aaron FPV says that is multiple TPU parts there. All right, cool. So I'm assuming that I have to chop these up. Michael D says, want to let everyone know that GetFPV has the GemFan 1636 V2 quad blade props. They only come in red and are not labeled as V2, but they are listed as new. I didn't even know they made them in red. God damn it! I would have rather gotten them in red than the smoke crotch gray that I have. Okay. All right, I'm gonna figure this out. So, I have the carbon fiber here. So, what the hell? Okay, so all right, so it's two pieces of TPU. The front. Why are there two little purple nubblies here though? That's super what? All right, that guy sticks down the... I'm starting to figure this out. The little square, the little rectangle to hold the battery, sticks down the bottom. So that goes through the front hole there. All right, so these things get cut in half. Check it out. So this is what they give you. And I think it needs to get cut right here. Because this is going to go through the whole... This might actually be 3 pieces. It might be 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 piece. That would explain why there are 2 little nubbly boys. Yeah. Chat's confirming it's 3 pieces. Okay, so I'm not just gonna pull. I'm not a fucking savage. So this is 1 piece here. I hope. This is the back piece. And then it would appear that this is the front piece. Luckily, they gave 2 of these. So this is the one that we care about here. And according to this picture, it's going to go... I see. Okay. So it's going to go up through there. Okay, so they've got it going through the front. All right. We got this. So we're going to start it on the front, and then we're going to pull it through. Maybe. Maybe we're not going to pull it through. Maybe we're just going to angle it in there. We'll be able to get that in. Let's see. Oh boy. All right. Let's see if we can just pull this guy through. Oh, it's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to be able to get it. Oh boy, come on. Now I just got a terrible pain in my left hand. There we go. Okay. All right. Good. So we got that, and then so it's gonna loop up and over, and then it's just gonna bloop down into the bling blong. Okay, so let's unplug this camera and let's see if this thing will hold this HDZero camera. All right, so the front, I'm going to try to do this for you guys. The front of the camera is supposed to go through like that. Through there. And then the MIPI cable is going to have to go to the side. And then this guy comes down and goes into the second to last hole, which is that one. I think we're good. And then we just need to grab it and pull it through. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So yeah, it ain't gonna work. I need like 0 up tilt, not 1,000 degrees of up tilt. So yeah, the camera is way too big. The camera is so big, and I don't even have it pulled all the way through. Yeah, this ain't gonna work. So they're using multiple notches on this to allow you to adjust the up tilt, and this camera body is so big that I didn't even get to the first notch, which would be the minimum amount of up tilt, and it was already at like 1,000 degrees of up tilt. So yeah, that ain't happening. And Aaron FPV says you also need to check that there's clearance on the prop guards. That's interesting. We can check that pretty easily. I have a feeling that might be a problem too. Let's see here. There's that one. I mean, it might be okay. Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, nope. No way in hell. Well, hold on. I didn't have that one perfectly lined up. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna... Maybe, but it's definitely touching, which is not great. I'm not gonna tie a piece of floss 8-bit. I'm trying to get like good quality footage with this, not like floss tied shitty footage. Yeah, trying to make a cinematic rig out of this basically. So we're not gonna. I can't really have anything be janky. That's a shame. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, though. You know, this frame is kind of very specifically made. When you know, this is the kind of stuff that happens in the aftermarket world. I used to run into this all the time in the car world. Like, I would do a bunch of research and find out that, like, you know, the panhard bar from one company is the best one, but then the coilovers from a different company were the best ones. And then I would order each, and then I would go to put it all together, and one company would beef up one part of their piece, and then another company would beef up another part of their piece, and then they don't work well together. Like, and that's one of the reasons why, like, when you start modifying something, it really helps to just stick with one manufacturer. Christ, that used to happen all the time with airsoft stuff too. We would combine like different manufacturers of upgrade parts, and then we would end up with, and then nothing would fit together because each company would increase their a measurement somewhere that would work better on the stock configuration. Well, wait a second. Hold on. Okay, I think we might actually be okay. As long as I'm willing to do 0 up tilt, we will be okay. Oh man, that's gonna be hard to fly though. I really hate flying with 0 up tilt. So it looks like I fly these Mobula6s with roughly 15 degrees. So you can see there, I can technically set it up so that the top part of the camera is flat and the bottom part are flat. So if I can figure out how to fly this thing at 0 up tilt, we can do this. That's going to be tough, though. That's going to be tough. Somebody says make it a pusher so the camera's not in the way of the guards. That's an interesting idea. Man, this TPU is not happy. It's trying to pull its way out of there already. I don't know about this, boys and girls. This TPU is really struggling. This camera is so much bigger than a board camera. And look at there's like a lot of movement here. Well, let's check the guards now that. Problem with a pusher is always taking them back off. Having the props really low to the ground like that is super annoying. Alright. Nah, it looks like the guards will fit. I mean, if the left side one will go on. Yeah, I mean, they're pushing against it, but not that bad. Yeah, it looks like the prop guards will fit. Looks like the prop guards will fit. Or the ducts, whatever the hell you want to call them. The problem is the up tilt, man. I don't know if I should keep going. Motorson says it might work with a remix version of that TPU thing if Fractal is willing to do one. Here's the problem, though. With this camera being flat on the bottom, it's not gonna ever want to do up tilt. Like, this mount makes a lot of sense for a board camera, which is just the PCB thickness. The PCB is gonna have no problem tilting back and forth. But this thick camera, like, if this TPU was looser, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm already creating a little bit of up tilt, actually. I mean, maybe it's a situation where we need to put like a tiny little bit of foam under there, but I actually just gave it a little whack of up tilt. See it? Let's keep going. Maybe it'll be okay. So I'm going to do this last. I'm going to take this off, and the camera is going to go in here last so that I have room for everything else. Oopsie. It's an interesting little frame. I got to be honest. I've always been pretty against the using TPU stuff. In like structural ways, but I don't know. Trying to be open-minded here. This is fiddly. Very fiddly. Tuner Taxi says lighter and pull the truck, stretch it. Michael D says heat gun, no wrong with the TPU, stretch it out a little bit. Mini couch kicking it old school, yeah, right. This is Kevin Sumner. All right, now let's keep going here. Okay, so that's freed up. I'm not going to take the propellers off. Yes, I am, because the motors won't come out of the frame with the propellers still on them. Taking the propellers off. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so the big problem here is going to be that the hardware that they include is not set up for a double stack board. I'm going to have to find some hardware that's long enough for a double stack build. And then I'm going to have to figure out a way to secure it. What do they have how do they have the hardware running? Do they have the hardware running up from the bottom or down from the top? Down from the top. And then it looks like they've made the holes in the frame tight enough where the screws thread into the carbon. That makes a lot of sense. And what are they using? They're using flat-headed jib jabs. So in that case, I might actually be able to use the screws that come with the Mobula6 ELRS. All right, so that's pretty cool. Okay. So, here we go. So I'm not going to use any of this hardware that they include. See, I'm going to use these silver bastards. Okay. Props are off. I need to unscrew the motors. Stuff out of the way. Carbon fiber, in theory, is roughly the same thickness as the plastic frame motor base mount pads, so should be able to reuse these screws as well. Make sure this camera is pointed up far enough for you guys to actually see what the hell I'm doing. All right, here we go. Let's free these motors up. Swap it on over and see what's going on. So this rig already has a tune. It's not a very aggressive tune, though. I suspected that there were some electrical issues going on. Basically, whatever. This will be interesting to put this into a nice stiff frame, because if all of a sudden I'm able to crank the tune up, then what that tells us is that it wasn't electrical issues preventing me from tuning it any harder. They were floppy frame issues. And these Happy Model frames are kind of junky. They're the lightest of the frames, which is great and all, but I've had terrible luck with them in terms of durability. And they're very floppy. So this is actually a really interesting test, regardless of whether or not the camera setup kind of works or not. I mean, it looks like it's going to work, but if it's janky, I'm not playing that game. And I'm going to put it into a media frame, and yeah. I'd rather have a less janky rig than one that's, you know, oh, look, it's in a special thingy. Whee! Okay, let's get this board out of here. And we can swap it over. Okay. Stuff these guys through that hole. Stuff these other guys through the other hole. Alright. Garbage Happy Model frame. Die. And I gotta remember which is front, which is back, because the wire runs are very specific. At some point I want to redo the wires are needlessly long between the AIO and the HDZero VTX. You know what's really insane is that on this rig, the VTX is like grossly, like, look at the size of the VTX just to do video. Look at the size of the AIO that manages an ESC, ELRS, fucking, you know, OSD. There's a gyro on there. There's capacitors on there. It runs a computer that's smart enough to stabilize a rig so that, like, it's absolutely perfect all the time. And then there's the much bigger board that just handles digital video. Kind of crazy, right? Okay, front is up here. So where do the motors go? Do the motors just sit up on top like this? That can't be. Do they? I guess they go down through the holes and then around the side. So let's run those down. And then I guess I need to run this guy down as well. This guy being the power lead. Looks like he needs to be going down through that hole. All right, so I think that's the way it needs to kind of live. I gotta be honest, right now this is a little janky, the way this mounts. But I mean, it kind of has to mount like this. But this just isn't. I wish it mounted a little bit. I don't know. This is just how it has to be. Oh, fuck. Well, that ain't gonna work. Oh, yeah, these screws are sized for a canopy to be up on top. So... oh, yeah, this ain't gonna work. Damn it. I need... A, they're not long enough. Which is weird. How are they not long enough? Hold on. Because I can just put washers on top. Ah, shit. They're not the right thread. It just pushed right through. They have to be a... they have to be a thicker thread. Well, shit. Hardware is going to be the limiting factor here. I need screws that are longer than these. Let's just try M2s. Let's just try regular old M2s. Yeah, see how I just pulled that? I just pushed that right back out. This screw is not thick enough. So let's see what I have. I'm certain that I have the length that I need in M2. The question is, will the M2 thread into the carbon fiber frame? and then I'm going to need to use a washer up on top in order to grab the HDZero VTX. June Logo says, can you show us how to wire up HDZero on that IAO? It just came this way. I don't know. It's just none of the pads are labeled. They're just kind of there. The yellow pad is on the bottom in the middle. It's not great, if I'm honest. All right, let's see how long an M2 8x8 is in comparison. Same exact length, so we need an M2x10. These, I gotta be honest, these M2s look like they're gonna be way too thick, but we're gonna try it anyway. All right, here goes nothing. M2x10. Let's see if it'll thread into the carbon fiber frame from Fractal. And it looks like the head on these M2s is big enough to catch the VTX. Oh no, this hole is way too small. This hole is way, way, way too small. So now I gotta go drill this out so that M2 will thread into it. So now we're at a point where this is sort of the point of no return with this frame, because once I drill this out, that's kind of it. There's going to be no going back. But none of the hardware that they sent is going to work for this. 1.4. Hey, Fractal's in the house. Hey, Fractal, I'm trying to do a... Have you had any customers do a HDZero Mobula6 into your frame? I originally had the idea to do this because my OCD goes insane with your frame when the AIO sits so much lower than the ducts. So I've always been looking for a double stack tiny whoop to put into your frame so that the second AIO would sit at least flat with the top of the ducts and just make me feel better. The problem I'm running into though is hardware. I need hardware that's long, so I've been forced to go to M2, and these holes appeared to be drilled for M1.6 or maybe M1.4. And I'm about to just go bust the drill bits out and enlarge these holes, but I'm wondering if there's another way. The hardware that came with the Mobula6 HDZero just falls right through these holes. And yeah, this M2, like, if I push hard enough on it, I might be able to... Like, when I drill this out, I'm going to have to be really careful, because if I drill it a little bit too big, we're effed. Okay, so I only had a prototype made with custom printed double grommets and longer self-threading stack screws M1.7x10. Well, I mean, this is actually starting to thread in here, but it's threading in at an angle, and I don't want to play that game. I also don't know if I have drill bits small enough for this. The other problem that I'm having is based around this TPU. It's a little bit tight on this HDZero camera, but I think we're going to be okay there. And I mean, making this a little bit longer. Stack holes are 1.4. Okay, yeah, so I got to get these sized up a little bit. All right, let me go grab the drill. We're gonna try this. Let me see what the smallest drill bit is that I have. Be right back. So, this is, of course, a fucking standard drill bit set. But we just need to get it close. Alright. What do we got? Smallest size in here is 1/16. Let's see. Oh man, the other, my other fill light battery just went dead. Working well for them. Voice of lifetime warranty though. Nice. All right, cool. So this is something that has been done before. I swear to God, if these people that make drill bit sets don't start loosening up the tolerances on the holders for the drill bits, I'm going to stab someone. What good is a set of drill bits when you can't get the fucking drill bits out of the goddamn holder? My God. All right, here we go. So this is the smallest size. Let's just compare this to M2. And, ooh, that might be perfect. That might be perfect. I think that's just right. We're going to just fire it up and give it a shot. Mutterson says, I got a set of micro drill bits, Harbor Freight. They go down much smaller than that. Yeah, I have a kit of non... I always try these Milwaukee ones first because they're hex, and I can just put them into the quick changey guy. But yeah, on Amazon, I got a set of drill bits that's going down, not up. That's better. 1 millimeter, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, but they're not hex. So I always try these guys first. So yeah, let's just give it a shot. I think this is going to be fine. Hold on. Let me do this over microfiber here rather than directly on the table. And I will hold my breath when I'm doing this so that I don't breathe in any carbon fiber dust. Yeah, that is not removing much. I think this might be, well, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. Before we do another. And so this is the top, so I want to thread it in from the top. Yep, it's not too big, so that's good. That's what I was worried about. So, oh yeah, yeah. We good. That's threading in there nice, and it's almost through. Oh yeah, that's threading in there really nice actually. And now it's level with the bottom plate. All right, cool. So there you go. 1/18 works. That is one tight hole. All right. And my only worry here, though, is that threading, like, the carbon is not really threaded per se. It's just tight enough. Like, this is probably not something that can be taken apart over and over and over again, because eventually these holes will probably strip all the way out. But, you know, usually you don't have to take it apart that many times. Here we go. Oops. This thing set on ultra speed. We can do slower than that. There we go. Last one. Hey. All set, muchachos. 1/18. Kind of perfect. Maybe a little bit bigger than that, but I mean, if I wanted them to be a little bit bigger, I would rather just like kind of jiggle the drill bit around a little rather than actually drilling it out bigger. Again, because we want to remove as little material as possible, because each time we thread into and out of this carbon fiber, it's gonna remove a little bit, and eventually it could potentially strip out. So I would actually recommend doing this with a 1/18 bit. And then the first time you thread it through, you're going to have to jam on it. But I think that's a good thing. So I'm tempted to run this through to try to thread it, but that goes against what I was just saying. So let's just leave it. I'm going to put the stack on, thread it through, and maybe I never have to touch it again. All right. So I need some more M2 by 10. And let me also check one thing. Let me make sure that this M2 by 10, the head on it, is big enough to catch the hole in the PCB, and it sure is. So we're good to go there. I don't need a washer up on top here. That's awesome. All right. This is going to go fast. Don't blink, friends. So we've got M2 by 10. Let's get 3 more. 1. Oh, I have some silvers in here. That'll match the... Do I? Nope. I don't have 3. I just have 1 for some strange reason. 2, and... Get out of there. 3. I was going to say the silvers will match the motor hardware. All right, I don't need this anymore. Let's get this out of here before I start knocking shit down. Okay. Nothing stuck to it? Yes, there is. There are things stuck to it. And nothing else is stuck to it. Cool. Okay. So, we're back with the electronics. And all right, so this is the front. We're going to put the battery lead through, and then the 2 rear motors through, front motors through, and then we're going to sit this guy down here. Make sure everybody's happy. Yep, they're all good to go. And all right, there's that. All right, let's try to send one of these M2 by 8s through here. I'm going to do this one that I already threaded through once just to start to get this thing kind of locked in. I'll just make it a little bit easier for me. Oh yeah, it's much easier the second time. Know what I'm saying, boys? No, you don't. You don't. You don't. Jesus. All right, let's get another one. So this is going to be a little more difficult because these other ones are not threaded yet. All right. I think that's lined up, maybe. Nope. No, it ain't. Now it is. Yeah, the hole's a little small. So I would just leave that there for you guys. And this is almost certainly the right hardware size. M2 by 10, that is. And there's no sense going much farther than the base plate. Okay. Ooh, wow. That USB port is really close, but there is definitely a little gap there. Good spacing on there. Yeah, looks like we're going to be all right. Let's put the other 2 in and screw the motors down, and that's about it. This is a very simple little swap. Hands down, the easiest frame swap
in the world.
There you guys go. Hopefully it played the whole soundbite. Which one's next? This guy? Yeah. Okay. So when you're doing this, make sure you push down nice and hard on the on your driver, so that you don't just yank out the top layers of carbon. You want to like thread it immediately. And yeah, it's very obvious when it starts to catch, but yeah, make sure you're putting a good downward pressure on your hex driver. I would not do this with a little L driver. Make sure you do this with like a proper driver, like this is a MIP or a WIHA or something like that, so that you can put a good amount of downward pressure. And yeah, just stop when the screw breaks through the bottom plate, and that's going to be the least amount of stress that you're going to put on the carbon. All right, last one here up in the front. Oh, and then we can see if the camera will fit. I'm starting to wonder if the camera is going to clear, if I'm really honest with you guys right now. Because this top board is bigger than the AIO. Oh, this might not work, guys. I did not foresee this as a problem, but I'll let you know in a second. Oh man, you know what? This top board might not clear with the ducts. Oh, shitters. Hold on. Oh, just barely. Just barely. Oh my god, that is close. Will it clear on all four corners? Oh, Jesus. Oh. I don't know. Oh, and I'm going to need longer... Oh, it comes with longer motor mount hardware. That's good. Oh, this is what's not going to clear. Wait, no. This is set up to go inside. This is set up to go inside. We're going to be okay. Back in this corner, it's going to be real tight, but I think we'll be okay. Ooh, this corner's good. And let's check this corner. Oh, man, this is going to be tight, yo. This is going to be real tight. Real tight. Okay, here we go. So, first thing I want to check is the camera, because the front end here just got real busy with this top board on here. I can technically maybe snip off a little bit of the PCB and hopefully it doesn't blow it up, but hold on. Let me first just... Oh, shit. All right, so we're not getting up tilt. Yikes. Yikes. Realistically, I mean, if I just really quickly go like this, then it's kind of like, well... So either there's two options. I either snip the front part of this PCB off, or I say, hey, Fractal in the chat, any chance you can make one of these frames with this piece extended out a couple of millimeters, which will kind of be specifically an HDZero version of your frame? And I guess while you're at it, wallow out these mount holes, because no matter what, people are going to have to use M2x10 hardware. And then, hell, you could even sell it with M2x10 hardware included, because that's the right length. Fractal says read chat above. Reinforced with CA glue. As per the front strap, it does fit a bit tight on the HDZero cam, but you can stretch it. Fits on mine. Oh, have you done this? Just sent you a couple pics of my build if you want to check it out. Where'd you send the pics, Fractal? Yeah, good call. Fractal, I'm making you a mod just because I want your name to be blue. Don't do any actual moderation. I just want your name to show up in blue so that I know when you're here. Where'd you send the pictures? It sounds like you've done one of these builds. Did you run into this same problem with the cam hitting the top plate there? Here's the issue, just in case I didn't show it to you guys clearly enough. Although, all of a sudden I do have a little bit of up tilt. But I'm going to need more than that. See how the camera's hitting the top part of the board there? I do have a little bit of up tilt in there, though. Oh, run the VTX on the bottom. Oh, that's interesting. So then the VTX covers up the USB port? And then where's the battery go? VTX on the bottom. So then the battery would... messenger. All right, hold on. Let's take a look. Facebook, really? You can't be faster than that? There we go. Oh, you flip the board upside down so that the USB points upwards. I'll be damned. Oh, okay. You didn't put the VTX under the board. You just flipped the whole stack upside down. Interesting. Ah, okay. So then I see. Sorry, guys. There you go. I think that's going to be the way to do it. I think that's kind of I think that's sort of the only way to do it. All right, let's try it. Okay. So let's get this camera out of here, and so if I run that upside down, this guy is going to try to hit, but it looks like there'll be enough clearance to plug that in. That guy is going to be on that side. Now let's stop talking about it and we'll just do it. Okay, here we go. And yeah, that's going to give a ton more space on the front of the top board. 2 by 10 out of there. 6S1 says, we got that. Frank Nicholas says, if you rotate the camera 180 degrees with the cable out of the way, can you get more up tilt? Probably not. Since it's just a MIPI cable, it's kind of like infinitely skinny. And to be honest, if I rotated the camera the other way, the MIPI plug would actually make the situation worse. So yeah, that's a good thought though. All right, here we go. Get this guy out. And last one. Jesus, come on. Tiny Whoop stuff always makes me feel like I have rabies. Like it's so small and everything is so just impossible. And like I don't have big gorilla hands or anything like that. It's just this shit's too small, yo. It's too small for humans. Here we go. We're going upside down. All right. So now this is the front. And we'll just let this antenna go wacky for a minute. We'll deal with that later. Okay. Ah, shit. I was afraid of this. The UFL is hitting. Well, wait. Looks like it'll clear. No, it'll clear. What's hitting? So there's going to have to be some spacers involved here. Something's hitting. Is it the... Okay, so it's this. It's the plug for the Well, before I say that, let's take the antenna off and see what happens. But it appears to be the plug to update the thing. No, that doesn't hit. It's just like the body of it that hits. Yeah, we're gonna have to do some spacers for sure. Oh my god, this is gonna be ultra fiddly. Oh boy. Yeah. Man, it's close though. Yeah, it's just like the actual chipset itself. So, okay. So here we go. We might need to go up to M2 by 12, but I'm not going to go there yet. I'm going to put these M2 by 10s through, and then we're going to put a spacer on the bottom, and then we're just going to see. I'm going to try a 1 mil spacer first. If we go to M2 by 12, I'm going to go up to a 2 millimeter threaded spacer, just to make the installation a little bit easier. Because then I can like put this together with the threaded spacer first and then just drop it onto the frame and screw it down. This is going to be a pain in the ass with these washers. You're about to see why in a second. All right, here we go. So I don't even know if a 1 mil spacer is going to be enough, but we about to find out. I bet you it is. I'm going to use plastic to keep the weight down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So we're going to put the spacers on with this thing upside down. And then man, I hope I'm going to be able to plug the camera in once this thing is together. We're starting to get into this territory where like building this could potentially be such a pain in the ass that like God forbid it ever doesn't work perfectly, you're just gonna jump off the roof. I hate builds that are like practically unserviceable because I end up not flying them because it's like, well, if I fly it, I'm gonna break it, and then it's gonna be so hard to repair that I'm just gonna want to jump off the roof. So hopefully this does not go that route, but I'll let you know in a minute. Because we're getting close. Wow, it is tight, but I think maybe everything clears. Oh boy. Always keep in mind that carbon is conductive, so you cannot have components touching carbon. But it looks like there's like an infinitesimally small amount of clearance here with these 1 millimeter spacers. Let me crank these screws down and then I'll take another look. It's too hard to tell right now. So here we go. Spacer's on there. I'm trying to find the hole. Common occurrence. This household. All right, that one's not all the way through, but oh, here we go with the spacers falling off. This is what I'm afraid of. All right, we're gonna stay calm. And we're gonna sneak this spacer back up here. And hopefully, no, don't. Come on, please. Please. There it goes, there it goes, there it goes. And okay, all right, there's that, and here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Come on, catch it, catch the hole, yo, catch it, please. please. Got it. Okay. All right, 2 of them are on. Oh god, these other screws are starting to fall out. That's gonna let the spacers fall out. Oh no, we're good, we're good, we're good. Okay. Going for number 3. It just caught. Good to go. Yep. And number 4. Who does number 2 work for? Fractal says you could also trim the rubber grommet to save some space between the flight controller and the VTX. My way of... So instead of doing that, I can just crank these down. I can just crank these screws down more, and that's going to compress that part of the grommet. So there's only a tiny little bit of grommet up here, so it's going to compress that part of the grommet more. That's sort of my solution. That is a good call, though. I am a freak when it comes to these rubber grommets, and I have like a million different thicknesses and setups of these rubber grommets. So if I need a little bit of space, I'll actually just dig into the stash here and grab a different one and see if I can get it to fit. I always worry about trimming these grommets because I'm worried I'm going to trim one grommet shorter or longer than the other, and then that side of the flight controller will have like a little bit of a different sort of vibration characteristic or whatever, and then if they're not even, maybe one side of the board hits the ESC, or in this case the VTX, and not the other. But I think we're good to go here. I'm just getting all these guys tightened down an equal amount. Okay, I think that's roughly it. The carbon is starting to delaminate pretty bad here from these big screws going through. I should have maybe drilled it out a little bit bigger, but it still seems like it's okay. All right, so now the motors are just going to drop right down on top of the pads. Oh, but I also need the ducts. Oh well, let me take a look at the camera situation now. So let's see here. These motors out of the way. Man, I could cut these motor leads really, really short. Oh man, see, this is still really... I mean, the camera is sitting up against the rubber grommet. Yeah, I mean, we got a little bit, although then this TPU... This would be way better. I gotta be honest. This would be way better with a specific frame. I know that's asking a lot, but having this double stack, it really doesn't love having this double stack. This was very obviously made for not this. is I think maybe the nicest way I can put it. You guys know what I'm trying to say, though. Yeah, this carbon fiber frame with just like 2 extra millimeters added to this little nose area would be much, 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 much better than this. But let's give it a shot anyway. So I'm going to pull this through and try to get it to the first little slot. Come on. Come on, little guy. Go, go, go. Don't rip. Don't rip. Man, I'm having to pull this hard. Don't rip, buddy. Don't rip, please. Please don't rip. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's one side through. Come on. Other side's almost through. There it is. Okay. All right. We got both sides through. Man, that is tight, though. The TPU is kind of shifting itself off to the side there. Man, the MIPI cable is all... No, it's okay. MIPI cable's okay. It looked like it was really getting pinched bad, but I think it's actually fine. Shit, the MIPI cable needs to go to the other side, though. Maybe it'll reach. Hold on, let's see. Let's see. I think it might actually reach. I think it's going to reach. Ooh, man, this is fiddly. Oh no, I do need to get the MIPI. Oh man, this is gonna hit the. This is gonna be right in the way of the battery. Yeah, MIPI cable does need to go to the other side for sure. I can't have the TPU straps get in better when rocking them back and forth. Yeah, that's how I had to just put it in there. Was by kind of rocking it back and forth. Now I'm gonna have to do it one more time here. Okay. Get in there, yo. Just trying to be gentle. As gentle as I can. I think that's through. There it goes. Okay, so TPU needs to come up. MIPI cable needs to go to the opposite side here. And then we're going to go back down. All right, so that side. And now we're going to go back down. And all right, here we go. I'm tempted to actually use so there's an extra little slot in the carbon. I'm tempted to use in the pictures on the website, they were showing skipping a slot, which is probably the right thing to do because the bottom and top of this camera is so flat. And this TPU is already so tight, but maybe I should be using the one notch further forward piece, but I'm not gonna because I think that would end up with either too much up tilt or the TPU would be stretched even harder. And I definitely don't want that because it's already being stretched quite a bit. I'm also kind of worried that with the way the TPU is sitting on the back of the camera, that the camera is not going to face perfectly forward. And it's going to have a little bit of a left or right angle to it. And good Lord, if you've ever flown a rig with a camera that's not facing absolutely dead forward, holy cow, you just fly horrible. It is really incredible how much of a difference that makes. Okay. But no, it looks like we're going to be fine. It looks like I can get the camera to point pretty much straight forward. It's looking pretty good. Fractal says TPU straps getting better. Right, I got that. Oh, look at that. Look at Fractal making offers for you guys that want to build the same thing. Okay, this is now screwed down. Oh, hold on. Some of these screws are not all the way through. And one of them is this front one, and that's good news. The deeper I can sink this front screw, the better. In terms of up tilt. This one needs to get cranked a little bit more. There, that one's good. The rear one is okay. And this one's okay. No, the rear one needs a little bit more. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Man, I didn't think this would take so long. I thought this would be a 5-second fucking swap over. But go figure. Doing something super out of the ordinary and custom takes some time. Huge shout out to Fractal for coming through and helping out. I would have given up long ago. I wouldn't have thought to flip this thing upside down like this. All right. MIPI cable's plugged in. It's still wanting to get in the way of the battery, though. So let me see if I can work on that for a second, because that ain't gonna work. Well, maybe the battery sits up a little bit. Maybe that'll be totally fine. But just for the sake of it, let me see if I can bend it the other way. And nah, it's not gonna be long enough if I bend it the other way. I can already tell. Well, maybe. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. I think this will work. Come on, snap in there. Snap in, you bastard. Come on. I gotta be extra gentle right now because the little MIPI cables, the little individual strands, I should say, are right where I'm pushing down. There we go. Okay, we're fine. So I ran it up like that. So now all right. So now we can put the little battery tray part in here. Oh man, I can't. I should have put this through before so that I could get. Oh hell. Am I going to be able to push this through? Shit. I did this in the wrong order. I should have put this in ahead of time. Well, let's see if I can push it through with pliers. Looks like I might be able to get it. Let's do one side at a time. I'm trying not to like push on the camera. Shit. I really don't want to take the camera out again. I'll keep trying here. When you pull it through, it like stretches the TPU out in a way that, whereas trying to push it through, it mashes the fucking TPU up, and that's exactly what I don't want. Because these slots are really tight. I'm also afraid of slipping off of here and stabbing this VTX. Come on, get in there. Ooh, I might have it. I might have it. Come on, keep going, keep going, keep going. I think I got it. I think I got it. Come on. Come on. Yeah. There's one side. Ah! Come on. Come on. Get in. Go. Go. Eh. Go in there. Yes! Got it. All right. Stubbornness for the win. Okay. Rear battery strap is on. I'm sorry. Front battery strap is on. Battery TPU, I should say, I guess. And then it looks like the rear one is just... yeah, the rear one just goes sideways. So... put that through there. Yikes. Can I just... I feel like I might just be able to yank this one through. And then... so I think I can just do this. Yep. And then pop it one little bit there and then loop it over and then pull it through from the top. Okay, cool. And there we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna make it as tight as it'll go because I'm using 300 mAh batteries. I'm assuming that this is set up for different sizes of battery because there's 3 different 1, 2. Yeah, there's 3 different positions. Illegal building techniques. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and now that this MIPI cable is just barely clear of the battery tray, let me try to show you guys what I was worried about. See the MIPI cable there? I don't want it up there. I need it over here, so it's out of the way of the battery. Looks like we're good there, though. Okay, so I need the hardware that he includes to go through the carbon fiber frame and the plastic of the... Man, I'm shot. What is it called? Duct. There we go. Thank you, brain. Okay. So, putting all this hardware away here that I'm not going to be using. And leaving out... Ooh, those are long screws. Look at that. So, I've got 2 of the red Cockroach V2 heavier, stronger frame ducts that I was kind of thinking about using in the front to give the front motors as much of a fighting chance at surviving. And then I've got the V1. Man, there is such a difference in both smoke crotch and clear. These clears are a little bit banged up. That one's already cracked. This one is not cracked. I'm going to use the... I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm tempted to use all clear, but 2 of the clear ones are cracked. So let's not use all clear. Let me use... I'm going to use the red ones in the front. Red ones in the front. We'll see how they hold up. And then we'll do the clear ones in the back. So I guess this mounts up on top. So we're going to go screws through the carbon and then up through the plastic and then up into the motor. Let's see. Oh, good God. These screws are Phillips. All right. I don't like Phillips. I don't like Phil. He's a dick. He's a real jerk, that Phil. Wait, no. This first. And, all right, so hold on. I like to orient these. Oh, no, these are the 4 brace ones, so it doesn't really matter how you orient them. But there are these big, thick, ugly things, so let's put those somewhere. Just give like, well, I guess we could put it inboards. There's no, they're not going to hit anything. Yeah, we'll put them inboard. All right, so we got that, and then we're going to bring the motor. Wait, that's the wrong motor. Okay, so hold on. Let me. Okay, so I've put it like that. The big ugly stuff is there. The other option is I put it like that, and then the big ugly stuff is there. So motor goes through, and then this sits down on the screw, of course pushing it out, and okay. Woo, this is fiddly build! Fiddly builds! These are the ones I specialize in. Wait, is that the right? Is that the way I want it? I think so. Nope, that's starting to rotate. Farts. Hold on. Hold on. I think it was here. I think I wanted it through this hole. Nope, that's not it. It was this one. So then I want to put the motor... Oh, fart. Come on. I want it there. So then I want the motor to go through this hole. There we go. Is that it? That's it. Okay. All right, so there's that. That's there. And then the motor comes in. And... oh, God. Come on. I've completely given up on trying to show you guys what I'm doing because I can barely see what I'm doing. So I apologize for that. But here we go. Got it. Okay, we're not going to tighten that because we're going to need to move this thing around a little bit to get these other screws on in there. So next, there's a chance that these screws are going to be a little bit too long for these motors. So these are the Happy Model motors with the PCB right above the stator base. Nope, we're good. Never mind. We are good. Oop, nope. In the front, on this one, we are not good. What? How? It is pushing up on that PCB. Ooh, yeah, it is jamming on that PCB. So, in theory, that PCB is non-conductive. I don't understand why this screw is not pushing on the PCB, unless... no, wow, that's weird. So we just need to add a little bit more spacing. Um, Let's try another one. See how it is. As long as the PCB is not conductive, like essentially, like as long as we're not driving a screw into the windings, we're going to be okay. Let's see what happens with this front screw. Does it push up on the PCB? Yep. Well, we'll know right away if the PCB is conductive or not. PCBs typically have a non-conductive coating on them. Whether or not I just scrape that coating off by driving this screw into it and out of it and into it and out of it and into it and out of it is another story. But let's just go for it. Woo! Okay, so I need to get this TPU out from inside the duct, otherwise the prop won't spin. All right, that's good to go. And there we go. First one's on. Oh man, this duct is cracked too. Just a little bit though. All right, number 2. Here we go. So this is now a front. So we're going to use one of these red ducts. We're going to use a red duck. And I want to put the junky mounting stuff. Nope, I can't put it towards the camera. That won't work. So I'm going to face it kind of rearwards. Oh, now it's facing out. That's pretty ugly. What's my other option? Let's face it forward. Ew. Euk, euk. Chocolate milk. Let's see if pointing it towards the camera will... Oh, wait, no, there we go. It clears the camera. No, we're fine. We're fine. Well, does it? Yeah, just barely. Just barely. Okay. So then the motor is going to go through this hole here. And that's that one. Okay. And then this goes here. And then the motor. Oh my God. Come on. Okay. I have to grab the motor with the tweezers here. Oh shit, no, I want the... should be fine. Should be fine. Okay. Come on. Come on, please. Please. Oh, please. Man. Those of you that have this frame, be honest, is it really rough to work on? Or do you get used to it after a while? Because I gotta be honest, this is very, very, very fiddly. And I usually stay away from setups that are ultra fiddly, just for my own sanity. Like, I love cool stuff, but I break stuff constantly. So, like, quality of life things, I tend to prioritize. And a frame, like 5-inch frames that are hard to work on, like the Catalyst Machine Works frames, total deal breaker for me. I don't care how good they are. And I mean, they're not even that good, to be really honest. If they were, everybody would be running them. Yeah, like I wonder if you would get used to this. I guess maybe I'm already starting to. Let's see. We'll see on the third duct. Okay. 2 screws are in. Throw the third one in there. I wonder what I've forgotten to do that I'm not going to be able to do once this is all put together. You know what I mean? When I've already got the camera plugged in, it looks like I should be able to just plug this antenna UFL in. So I mean, I think I'm okay. This looks like it might reach. Oh man, the camera TPU is starting to pull out though. I was kind of worried about this. That it's so tight that it's gonna like constantly want to back itself out. Maybe let's try to farts. Try to stretch the front a little bit to give it a little bit more slack in the back. You know what I mean? Okay, I mean at this point I'm just trying to kind of stretch the TPU out enough that it kind of stays stretched out, basically. Yeah, the problem is that the TPU has to choose one side or the other on this front screw here, and then what that does is it on the bottom it's trying to tilt itself out, and it's trying to like release itself on the through the little bottom hole. Fractal says to do exactly what I was just doing and really yank this camera strap to get it to stretch. Oh, and I just pulled the second little adjustment part through. That's the first time that's happened. So it is stretching. For sure this TPU is stretching. So that should help quite a bit. Okay. All right, so it already seems to be a little bit happier. The camera is hitting the top of the duct here, though. Let's put the other duct on. We'll see what happens. All right, third motor, which is motor number 2, about to go on. Let's get a good coil on these motor wires to shorten them up. And we're going to go outwards on this side. On that side, I went forward. On this side, I'm going to go outwards. And we'll see which way is a better direction to route it around these ducts. So that's going to sit backwards like that. So we're going to go through this back hole this time, like that. And okay. It's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Okay. All right. There, and there. That's not it. Come on, get on there. Get in there. Please stay. Please stay. Please stay. Please stay. Yes. Hey, there we go. Okay, great. There's that one. Oh, Fractal includes an extra screw. Now that right there, that is how you know when a company actually cares about your well-being or if they're just in it to make a buck. 10,000 points and 150 gold stars to Fractal for including an extra one of these screws. I absolutely cannot believe that all manufacturers don't include extra screws, and if I'm honest, extra arms. The fact that these people sell frames with just 4 arms, what? Come on. I'm gonna when my 3-inch frame comes out, I'm gonna include 100 extra arms. You heard it here first. 100 extra arms free of charge. The frame's going to cost $500, but, you know, you'll have enough arms for life. That's my version of Chameleon's lifetime warranty, of Armatan's. This is a much better version of Armatan's lifetime warranty, because with Armatan's lifetime warranty, you are never, ever, 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 ever going to break enough arms and wait for shipping and deal with them, the bullshit that they put you through to get the replacement stuff, to pay for the extra cost of their kind of shittily designed frames. If I'm really honest, you can disagree with me there. You're allowed to, but you're wrong. To get the value of the $100 that you pay for their frames, and you could take that to the bank. What a weird saying. What a weird saying. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Last one. Last Juan. Es muy guapo. And through. And the motor goes like that. And here we go, here we go, here we go. Come on, stay, stay, stay. Beautiful. I'm starting to get a little bit used to this. It's getting a little bit easier. Still fiddly though. Total honesty, this is absolutely way more fiddly than a regular old, Meteor 65 frame with the canopy up top. So do with that info as you may. A carbon fiber frame like this will almost certainly isolate vibrations from the motors and the props better. But my tiny whoops in the Meteor frames, I push the PIDs, the master multiplier, all the way up to 2.0, and then I push the P and D tracking sliders up a little bit more. And I mean, you guys have seen them fly. They're just they're just perfect. So yeah, I love this idea. Don't get me wrong. Like this is not me bashing on it. I can't help but wonder if this fixes a problem that doesn't exist, kind of situation. But we'll see soon. I hope that this battery lead is gonna reach. Kevin Sumner quoting me. Well, there it is. Let me take another look at the VTX against the bottom plate to make sure it's not hitting. Because I'll be really pissed if I plug a battery in, it fires the VTX up, and it explodes, because these VTXs are like $50. Shit, this one big Divimath DM6300 chip looks like it might be touching the carbon. Not the end of the world. I don't care about like the plastic or whatever the hell the main part of the chips is. I'm looking for the little bits of metal. I think we're good. I don't see any bits of metal that are touching the carbon. So the front ducts are definitely touching the camera, but they're almost like holding the camera in, which is kind of interesting. And kind of holding the camera straight, although the camera is not straight. The camera is definitely sitting a little bit tilted. But now it looks like it's straight. There's the build. That's it. So I'm gonna need to flip the gyro in Betaflight. Props should be good though. Man, these props fit loose. I have a feeling these props are gonna fly off. Alright, this one. I'm gonna have to take a second to push these motor wires down and out of the way. Otherwise they're gonna get in the way of the props. Fractal Engineer says the problem it solves are much more durability, lightweight, and sharp handling. I wasn't joking, by the way. The bottom plate is lifetime warranted. Break one to get a new one. So my experience with carbon fiber framed tiny whoops is with the Cockroach 75 newbie drone frame. And what I found is that the extra stiffness from the carbon fiber would hold the stator base and the motor nice and solid. And then when you start banging on it and the duct compresses and pushes on the propeller, it was bending motor shafts like crazy. And that's why I'm only using this Fractal65 build for this. This is a cinematic rig. This is a rig that's absolutely not going to get crashed. So yeah, I agree. This carbon fiber is never ever going to break. But the motors are what I'm concerned about. But yeah, with this cinematic build, I'm not concerned at all because it's just not going to get crashed. But yeah, I wouldn't build one of these as a freestyle rig because of that experience that I had with bending motor shafts. In fairness, that was back in the days that I was running tri-bladed propellers, and tri-bladed propellers will tend to put more force into the motor shaft because, like, no matter what, there's always going to be a blade there to hit. Now that we've moved to bi-bladed propellers, there's a chance that on crashes, just like that, it's going to push the propeller blade out of the way unless you hit perfectly on the propeller blade, and then it dumps all that energy into the motor shaft. The reason that the Meteor 65 frames are so durable is that on crashes, see the motor move, guys? Like, that's what you want. Here, look up in the front corner here. So when it crashes, it moves the entire motor base. So this whole thing moves, and it doesn't put much energy into the little tiny 1mm motor shaft. So yeah, that's my concern with these Fractal frames. I absolutely love the idea of having a carbon fiber frame, but I had a really tough experience with the Cockroach 75, and I kind of wrote off the carbon fiber frames in favor of the motor shafts being more durable. I mean, the real solution is for these motor manufacturers to go up to a 1.5 mil motor shaft, but good luck getting them to do anything that makes any sense ever. All right, I'm bending this antenna the opposite direction, and then I think we're good. I need to plug it into Betaflight and flip the board orientation upside down, but I believe that's it. Hopefully the motor the battery plug reaches. I'm gonna be really upset if it doesn't. I'm not gonna fix it tonight. This is I've given all that I've got to give on this. This is all the patience that I've got. All right, here we go. So that's now bent, so it's standing upwards. Let's snap this on here. Come on. Yeah, I broke 4 T-Motor 0803 motor shafts. And I mean, that also, in fairness, that was a heavier rig. 0803s are a heavier motor. But just the full, when I figured out what it was, I was like, oh, okay. And that's like a real thing. But I know that a lot of people fly this Fractal frame. And I don't like talk to those people, but I haven't heard from a whole bunch of people that it's really rough on motors. Sorry, SexFindXYZ. Bye-bye. Oh my god, it's 9:30. Jesus. I mean, I know I started late, but... Alright, so now we got all these ready to go. I'm going to put these extra ducts back in the Fractal box. We're going to plug a battery in. Hopefully it doesn't immediately catch fire from a component touching between the VTX touching the frame. Let's just get that out of the way. Man, I wish there was a smoke stopper for 1S. Here we go. No fire. Cool. So the VTX is not touching anything. That is amazing. Now we're going to plug it into Betaflight, flip the board orientation upside down, and then we're just going to fly it, although I'm going to have to get my whole wacky HDZero setup going here. The one side of my face is just going to be dark for the rest of the stream. Both of my fill lights over here have gone dead for some reason. Apologies. Betaflight lately has been taking forever to open up, so we're going to patiently wait for that. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to start to get the Fakakta HDZero set up here going. Which means I need both of these guys. Alright. Wow, Betaflight. Why? Why can't you open faster? Are you too good for your home? Here we go. Betaflight's finally opened. Okay, so we're gonna go to configuration and let's try it on roll. Let's try 180 degrees of roll. See what that does. All right, so nose down, nose up, left, right, yaw left, yaw right. Good to go. And that's all we need to change. Saved it. No, motor mapping is going to be wrong as well, isn't it? Motors are going to be in the wrong locations. So let's fix that. Oh, I love tiny whoops. You can do this with the fucking props on. And we're going to go reorder motors. Good to go. Start. That is left rear, left front, right rear, right front. Save it, and then we got to change the motor direction. And there we go, motor direction. Yes, we're going to use the wizard. All right, start and spin. So we've got motor 1 is wrong, motor 2 is right, 3 is right. So weird when it does this. 4 is right. It's so weird when there's not 2 of them wrong. I don't know if I'll ever understand that. Whatever. Good to go. Disconnect, unplug. And now we'll get to see if the battery plug is long enough. And if it's not, you'll hear curse words. There we go. Let's see. So the longest way is going to be flat away from me. Okay. Well, I might have made the battery thing a little bit too tight. All right, here we go. It'll be long enough. I think we're good. Battery away from me. Come on, get up over there. Nope, it's too short. Oh my God, it's like a millimeter too short. Please. Please. And I don't want to push too hard on it because I'll break my solder joints on the BT 2.0. I might have just done that. I might have just broken one of the solder joints. Come on. I got it. That's a little, that's. See no evil, hear no evil. Okay, absurd contraption. This is the out. So the out is going to go into the Fat Sharks. And then the in is going to go to the module. I can almost see it. I think, no, I can't. Goggles on, module on. VRX scene. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, I need my transmitter, which is, of course, all the way put away in my bag. Hold on. Oh, fart. That HDZero is going to get hot while I'm doing this. Stay cool, little guy. Stay cool. Stay cool. Please, please don't blow up. Don't blow up. Don't blow up. Don't blow up. Oh, it's going to be a close one. It's going to catch on fire. I can feel it. Crossfire out. Come on, come on, come on, come on. The LRS module in. Transmitter on. Here we go. All right, let's see. Okay. Come on. Why are these goggles so cloudy? Yeah, I hear you over there. I know.
Low battery.
Yeah. It flies. Okay. The hover point feels higher. Whoa, yeah, okay. Hold on, let me get the OSD on. Is this battery shot? This battery's dead.
7.
Battery's at 2.43.
5.
PTX is not all that happy either.
3.
Alright, let's get a fresh battery on here. This is not a good test. Let's get a fresh battery on this guy. Oh boy, this battery cable is... Ooh, it's short. It's short. Okay. Alright. Let's try this battery here. Flat spot away. This is a Tiny Whoop BT 2.0. 300. Come on, get in there. All right, so it's kind of hard to get the batteries in without pushing everything out. Like, I got to figure out where I can hold this frame from. There's a lot of like TPU pieces and like the camera's kind of moving around, and I got to figure out like where I can put my fingers to hold the frame steady while I'm like ramming the battery home. But that's something that you go through with every new frame, is just figuring out how to like kind of live with it. Man, this fucking battery cable is just like a millimeter too short. There we go.
Telemetry recovered. Low battery.
All right, come on, video. Where are you at? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Contraption on my head. This battery's down at 4.1. What's happening? I think these are the batteries that I left charged overnight. That's a little better. Whoa, okay, something happened. That would be a propeller coming off, I'll bet. Sure enough. God damn it. Stupidly, I'm going to just put this propeller back on. This is on motor number 2. I'm going to need to... I was talking about this last time. I'm going to need to put some super glue on the inside of these prop holes and let it dry. And then that'll give them a little bit more bite. Something about the motor shafts on these 0702s, they're ever so slightly smaller than most of the 0802s. All right, here we go. Let's see how long this prop will stay on. Not very long. Oh, wait, no, we're good. That was weird. Not very long. Same motor. Don't know where the prop went this time, so we're gonna grab a fresh one, which of course is in this box, buried. Getting that out. Here we go. Here are the props. That is left side high. Let's get a fresh one. And on it goes. Oh, wow, that's way looser. Left side high. Let's try this one. Oh, that one's much better. That one's going to be fine. Now one of the other ones is going to come off, though. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Oh, man, the fucking... Oh, God, it just fell off the table in front of me. All right, let's see what's happening upstairs. Oh my God, what the hell? Why? HDZero, why? What is going on? Why? Oh, Jesus. Well, here comes a crash test. It's going to fall down the stairs. HDZero, what are you doing? Why? I can't fly through that. Okay. What's happening? Why is that happening? Okay. Oh, shit. I went into the fucking menu. How do you get out of the menu? Oh, my God. I hold the button to get out. Whatever. I'm just going to turn it off and on. Yeah, the VTX antenna's on. It's the same antenna from a couple of days ago when we were flying it and it was totally fine throughout the house. This is weird. Oh, shit. Yeah, I mean, unless, I guess maybe when I was putting the VTX antenna on, I broke it, but I doubt it. I was very gentle with it, as I always am. Yeah, no, it's on there. It's on there. I mean, I just wiggled it around a little bit. Maybe it'll be fine now. Let's give it another try. Okay. Jesus Christ. This setup to stream with this thing is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, antenna's clear of the carbon. It's standing up nice and tall. Let's give it a shot. Maybe it was just at a funny angle or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're okay now. Nope, not okay. Not okay. Not okay. Not okay. Not okay. Not okay. Guess we're flying down here. Oh, man. Rig feels heavy. Oh, this battery's almost dead now. Wow, it really feels different. It feels less. Feels like less snappy. Whoa, what was that? There's something going on with this rig, man. It is upset for some reason. Oh man, what is it stuck on? What are you stuck on? Oh, it's stuck in between the pillow and the top of the couch. Okay. All right, let's see. What's happening, little buddy? Why are you upset? Maybe, I mean, it could have gained... I should have weighed it beforehand. I don't know what it... I don't know if it gained or lost weight. Maybe it gained weight because these cockroach ducts are heavier because they have the extra support in them. This battery that I'm putting onto it right now should be more fully charged because it got charged this morning. Those two batteries were charged Monday morning. So let's see if this is a little better. Come on. There we go. Hard to plug these batteries in.
Telemetry recovered. Low
Cable's
battery.
a little too short. Wonder what's going on with the VTX power. That's very strange. It's still on channel 1. Nothing has changed about the VTX other than we're mounting it upside down now. I mean, I can't imagine that would negatively affect anything now. Weird. Okay. Another battery that's coming in at 4.19. I think maybe they're sitting at 4.19 because the HDZero pulls so hard on the battery. Yeah, I mean, like, look at the battery voltage just plummet from HDZero. It just, like, hammers on the battery. This feels better. Whoa, easy. There we go. Okay, there's the crispness back. Rejected. Here we go. Alright, this is better. Now we're back. I wish I could fly upstairs. Oops. Easy, easy, easy. Alright, let's fly smooth for a minute. So, camera's sitting lower to the ground. Which is kind of interesting. I think I can maybe notice it. I think I can maybe notice the camera sitting a little bit lower. Try to back it under the coffee table. There we go. And whoopsie. Easy! Easy! Trying to drop down into that gem fan cube, but it's tough. It's still a heavy build. I gotta remember that this is not the analog Mobula6. This is the 4 and a bit gram heavier one, and it might have gained an extra gram. You know what's interesting? So since the camera is lower to the ground, I'm noticing the ground effect more. This will be an interesting test. Turtle mode's fine. That's great. I'm noticing the ground effect more. There's nothing about this frame that would make it any worse in terms of ground effect that I can think of. But yeah, since the camera is lower, I guess maybe I'm able to get lower to the ground. And then that's when I'm kind of noticing the ground effect. Kind of cool. Flies like a brushed tiny whoop. It flies pretty much exactly like it did before, which isn't a bad thing. It flew great before. I'm wondering... Oh, that would have been cool. I'm wondering what the hell happened to the VTX, though. Let's try changing channels. Let's try changing channels. How do you even do that? Where's that rocker switch on the module? Is it left? Is it right? There we go. F2. Tell me I don't have to change the channel separately on the quad. Tell me that I don't. It's a digital fucking system. I have to change it separately on the quad, don't I? Really, Fat Shark? I mean, I guess because it's not a two-way system. It's just the quad talks to the goggles and that's it. So I need to come into the OSD and change it in here. So let's go down. Oops, we don't want that. We want race band 1. And it's getting hot. You're gonna be okay, buddy, I swear. I'm gonna try race 1. Alright, where's that rocker on the module? There it is, okay. Fat Shark 2, Fat Shark 4, race band 1. Okay.
Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered.
And the battery's dead. Man, HDZero hammers on these little tiny batteries. Wow, it's really noticeable. Yikes. I just knocked down one of the gates.
Telemetry lost.
Flies good. I kind of assumed that it would fly the same. Yeah, that is in no way a bad thing. That it flies pretty much the same that it did. The camera is lower, no props in view. There weren't any props in view previously, but the camera is sitting a little bit lower to the ground. It's harder to change the batteries, which I know that sounds like a minor thing, but I'm a big fan of how easy it is to change Tiny Whoop batteries on like the regular frame, so that's actually a ding personally for me. It's not a big thing, but it's a thing.
Low battery.
Yeah. It's
RSSI low.
Alright, here we go. Let's get this battery immediately up in the air and see what kind of runtime we get. Because the last time I flew this thing on stream, we got some runtimes, so we can compare the runtimes. Wait, hold on. Now that it's on race 1, let me try to go up the stairs, see if it's any better. Hey, there we go. Okay, it didn't like being on race 8. Hello, family! Oh boy. Ooh, easy, 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 easy. I'm really trying not to crash it because it's just heavy. Oh, no, no! Easy. And also, I think Duke is on the couch and he hates quads, so I'm gonna try to be nice. Alright, so we're not gonna go fully inverted up here. We're just gonna do safe stuff. And the VTX is good to go again. I don't know what the hell's going on with it. Oh, no! That wasn't too bad of a crash. Help me, family! Help! I got the beeper on. The beeper is their sign to help. Help! Thank you! No, no, up, other way! Yeah, yeah, thank you! Oh god, she's the greatest. Alright, here we go. Let's do a little orbiting. Oh, we got close on that one. Oh! That's a big crash. Uh-oh. No, we're good. Absolutely nothing wrong with this frame. That's for sure, although now the tune is The tune's a little angry now, which means that I did bang it up on that crash. Oh yeah, and it doesn't have much power. Something ain't right. See the wobbles in there? Oh my god, I almost hit that coffee table power loop that I haven't done yet. Alright, let's see what happened. That was a pretty big hit. That was a pretty big hit, admittedly. And it's a heavy quad. Let's see what's up. Who's upset? And why are they upset? We're going to arm the motors. We're going to see if anybody is... actually, we're going to put it into turtle mode. And we're going to spin each motor up. See if one of them's vibrating. Motor 4 is definitely vibrating. Not too bad, though. Maybe the battery's just dead. 3.36? Yeah, battery's hurting. Let's throw another one on. Maybe it'll clear up. It was a big hit, though. Checking the prop guards here real quick. Man, these ducts, prop guards, whatever the hell you want to call them, they move around quite a bit when they're not connected to each other. When they're just connected to the motor mount base, they move around. It's interesting. You don't notice it when they're all connected together because they kind of like use each other as like little braces, you know? Like there's one big system going on there, but when they're just connected to the base, they're a lot more floppy. The up tilt seems fine. I'm comfortable flying it. If the up tilt was not fine, I would not be comfortable flying it. I find that I'm pretty sensitive to changes in up tilt, so that's a good thing. All right, let's get this battery on here. Yeah, I'm kind of used to holding tiny whoop frames from the middle front, but you can't do that because the camera is up there, and the camera is mounted on TPU. So like if you try to put your finger dead center in the front, you just push back really hard on the camera, and like you don't want to do that because that makes it go like sideways and wacky. All right, there we go. Oh, I didn't see what that runtime was. Yeah, all these batteries are plugging in at 419 and then dumping quickly with the HDZero. Here we go. Leave the OSD on for you guys. Nah, there's something going on. The tune's pissed. Yeah, see it? It's all jacked up. Ah! I was hoping to be able to push the tune further, actually, with this frame. But now I'm going to have to actually back the tune off a little bit. Because that crash... I'm assuming that crash bent a motor bell. Let me take a quick look here. I'm just going to put it back into turtle mode. And I'm going to spin each motor up as slowly as I can. Actually, I can spin them up 2 at a time. Just absolutely as slowly as I possibly can. In turtle mode, you can't spin them slowly enough to really see. Yeah, I can't tell. I can't tell. Maybe when it's armed. Idle is pretty slow. Motor 3 is fine. Motor 4, the motor shaft is definitely bent. Same thing with motor 1. Motor 2 is okay. So yeah, I'm guessing on that big hit that we bent one of these motor shafts enough where it's putting more vibes in, and that's where that weirdness is coming from. So we can fix that by crippling the tune a little bit, but admittedly, this is one of the things that worries me about these carbon fiber frames, and this is the experience I had with the Cockroach 75, is just really hard on the motors. I have extra bells, so I can swap extra bells on. So yeah, we're gonna take this master multiplier down to 0.9. I was really hoping to get it up to like 1.2, 1.4. I mean, I do have the gains boosted here up to 1.4. So let me actually take these down to 1.3, and let's see how it is.
Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered. Low battery.
See, so now we're starting to get prop wash. Oh, wow, what is happening there? Oh, God, okay, so... yeah, she ain't happy. That... I'll take it easy. That's an ESC issue? That's more likely this... oh, no, see that... oh, God, see, so that's an ESC dropping out on a corner when I ask it to do too much, when it does that big, weird movement there. That shouldn't have anything to do with this frame. But what I will say is that, see, there's all kinds of prop wash. See when I put it into dirty air? That right there. That prop wash is now because I had to bring the tune down like that. So just to kind of confirm, let's crank the tune back up to get rid of the prop wash, and we'll see how those other behaviors kind of react. So I'm just going to push the master. So I took 0.2 out from the PI and D gains. I'm going to put all of that back in, and then some on the master multiplier. So we're going to move it up to 1.4. So this is now 0.1 extra than when we started, and now you see how see the wobbles when I stab the throttle. That's too much PID gain. Damn.
Telemetry lost.
Marcelfaxa says, 3 other drone streams tonight. You're the only one actually a drone channel. Crazy, right? What do you mean? What's that mean? I thought I was the only show in town Wednesday nights. Are there three non-drone channels doing drone things tonight? Is that what you're saying? All right, another battery. Let's see what's up.
Telemetry recovered. Low battery.
This is a shame, man. I think this AIO is shit in the bed, and I don't know if I'm gonna replace this AIO because the motors are hard soldered, and like I don't really know. I can't think of a point. Oh yeah, the tune is too much now. So what I can say is that the carbon fiber frame, it did not give me any more latitude to push more PID gains in. Oh wow, something is... yeah, so that's just too much PID authority. The tune will not take it. That's a shame. That's a shame. What that means, though, is that this AIO is electrically noisy. It's got too much electrical noise, and that's what I suspected before. So yeah, it's not a vibration problem. God damn it, Fat Shark! I hate you, and I want you to burn for your lack of functioning. Yeah, we still have it a little bit, but now it's at least a little bit under control. Oh wow, and it dropped an arm again. Yeah, this AIO is just no good. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's really bad now. That's a shame. Hey, there's that missing prop. That's a shame, man. Because I don't, like... You know, I was going to do the RC car thing. Chase the RC drifts cars with this... with this rig. Just as, like, something to use this rig for. But it doesn't really make sense because the Insta360 Go 2 rigs are going to actually give, like, way, way, way better video quality and stabilization. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, there it is again. God damn it. If you think you're annoyed by the beeping, imagine how I must feel. Wow, yeah, it's getting worse. It's becoming unflyable. That was my bad on that one. Ah! Come on. Turtle mode's really nice because the props are like right on the ground. Oh god, it's doing it. I have to rotate it around really slow. Oh. Ooh, wow, it almost went into the fire. I'm having to rotate it around really slowly so that it doesn't drop an arm. Alright, it was doing it again. Oh god, this battery is going to catch on fire. Alright, we're going to leave it there because Fat Shark can't make a goddamn voltage regulator that reads properly. And I can't stand the beeping anymore. Damn!
Telemetry lost.
That's a shame, man. Boy, oh boy. I mean, I guess the AIO is now on top, so it will be a little bit easier to swap it out, I guess. But, I just don't know. I just don't know, friends. Damn. Damn. Fractal frame fits. Requires some fiddling. In this particular case, it did not allow me to push the PID canes, but as we just talked about, that is because this AIO is electrically noisy. I'd suspected that. Just like the Diamond ELRS frame. The reason that they chose to use this AIO is that it doesn't have a VTX on board. I guess what I could do is switch this rig over to a regular Mobula6 ELRS frame, AIO, which is good. The question is, does that frame give me the pads that I need to hook up the HDZero setup? I think the answer is yes, because I don't know the answer. The answer is yes on the X12 board. The X12 board does have pads to do that. But the regular Mobula6 board... Oh, it might. Is that it right there? Basically, it needs to have a video in and a video out. It's got a video out, it's got a video in, and it's got RX1 and it's got TX1. So then the question becomes, is there a way to disable, and there probably is there a way to disable the VTX on the full-size regular old Mobula6 ELRS board? And I'm pretty sure that there is. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing in one of the pieces of documentation a pad that's jumpered. I'm actually looking for the pad right now. 2 pads that are jumpered together to turn the VTX on that you can break the solder ball on to disable the VTX. Give me one more second. I'm just kind of looking for it. Fractal frame seems pretty good though. I gotta be honest. From a freestyle tiny whoop perspective, prefer the Meteor 65 frame, especially in terms of like changing batteries and just ease of use, sort of. I didn't see any performance improvements in flight characteristics, but I fly freestyle and it's really hard to tell that. So if the racers say that the Fractal frames are faster, listen to them because they have lap timers to go by. Yeah, I don't see the pad, but I swear to God I saw that in some of their documentation that you can turn off the VTX. Yeah. It's squished X instead of true X, if you care about that kind of thing. I don't know what else to say. I'm going to weigh this. With a battery, we are at 33.2 grams. Without a battery, can anybody look up the? Can somebody look up the weight of a Mobula6 HDZero? 25 on the nose. I'll look it up. Mobula6 HDZero. GetFPV says that the weight is 23.5 grams. So we gained 1.5 grams. I could probably take off half of that, maybe 0.5 gram, by taking these cockroach ducts off and going to Meteor 65 ducts. I would not want to go to Happy Model ducts because they're weak and they'll break. The reason that I did these cockroach ducts is because we've now got the motors on this rigid carbon fiber frame, so the motor shafts are going to take more abuse. That's just a fact. And these cockroach ducts are much stiffer, mainly because they have 4 standoffs each than the Meteor 65 ducts. So by moving this over to the lighter Meteor 65 ducts, it more than likely is it's gonna make it more fragile. It's gonna make it even harder on the motor shaft. So I'm not gonna do that because I'm already worried about that kind of thing. It's a fiddly build. It's doable, but it's a little fiddly. Something fun to do. I love the idea of so I'll say this. If you're going to do this frame, don't pair it with an ELRS Diamond AIO or this AIO, because these AIOs are so electrically noisy that they are not going to be able to take advantage of the fact that you've got a stiffer carbon fiber base plate. If you're going to do this frame, in my opinion, do it with one of the AIOs that doesn't have all of these electrical noise issues, so that you can crank your PIDs up And then this frame will allow you to crank your PIDs up further than any of the plastic frames. So we're talking the standard full-size Mobula6 ELRS AIO. We're talking the newbie drone BLV3. And I mean, there aren't many AIO options. 661 says T-Motor came out with a nice new 1S flight controller. Have you seen them? 6 amp 1S, 13 amp 1S BL32. I did. I just saw that earlier today. At least one of those two new AIOs has black box, which is a really, really great thing. And they have a built-in VTX. It's only 50 milliwatts, but tiny whoops are for inside, and inside you don't need more than 50 milliwatts. Anything more than 50 milliwatts is just going to increase the multipathing. So yeah, I personally would not recommend doing this frame with the Diamond ELRS board or this Super Whoop board. Just because you're not taking advantage of the one big thing, to me, that this frame gives you, which is more vibration resistance. So yeah, if I decide to swap this AIO out, I'll be putting the full-size regular old Mobula6 AIO on here. And then I should be able to just push the PIDs to the moon, and that's pretty cool. Admittedly, on the Meteor 65 frames, I can already do that. And, like, I've almost maxed out the sliders, so there's... And, I mean, the tunes are already, like, all the way locked in. So, it's interesting. I hate to be kind of coming off a little bit negative, but this is just stream of consciousness. There's absolutely nothing bad about this frame. Absolutely nothing. It's an amazing option, and I love that it exists. The problem is that this Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop build is too good. Like, this sets the bar incredibly high. And when that happens, if something else can compete with it or even be a little bit better, it's only a little bit better, right? Like when the bar is set low or in the middle, you can have like a big improvement. This has set the bar so high that even if this would be an improvement, I don't think I would be able to tell. And from like a usability and a serviceability standpoint, this is easier to work on. I love that the camera is lower, physically lower. Like, that's cool. Very interesting. I really wish that the AIO wasn't shitting the bed so that I could get... I mean, I could still fly it. Maybe I will fly it a little bit more until the AIO completely goes to hell, but it's getting pretty bad already. Very cool. Very, very, very cool. I love that this exists. Great job, Fractal. I'm so sorry if this is coming off negative. I really don't mean it to be. I'm just being completely honest, which is just kind of what I do. I give you guys everything that I can possibly think of, and what you do with it is on you. So yeah, I apologize if this is coming off a little bit negative, but yeah, I mean, this is what you get on this channel. I can't think of anything else. There's absolutely no yeah. I wish I could say that it flew better. I didn't put a ton of battery. I probably only put 15 or 20 batteries through this rig in its stock configuration. So it's really hard to say that it does or doesn't fly better. I might buy another one of these frames. So I've kind of ruined this frame by drilling these holes out. I'm kind of curious to buy another one of these frames and swap out one of these Mobula6s with the big 0702s, and because I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of batteries through these, so that would be a much more fair comparison. Yeah. I can't think of what else to say. I want to say nice things because I love that this exists, and Fractal is an incredible company. Their BT 2.0 plug into your big boy charger board was my introduction to them, and that was something that I'd been like praying to the cow gods for forever. And somebody actually gave me one at Rotor Riot Rampage last year, I think it was. And I was like, hallelujah, somebody made this. And like the concept behind this, I absolutely love. It's, you know what I have a hard time with? And those of you who've been around for a long time will already probably know what I'm going to say. Mounting prop guards and ducts from the motor mount base drives me insane. It's why I hate the Shendron's Terraplane so much, and all of the Stan FPV ducts that mount like this. It's just there's too, when you hit out here, there's way too long of a lever. And it really flexes the shit out of the duct, and you can feel it. Like you can, like when I take these and like you can just feel them kind of moving around and whatnot, and like just so yeah, I'm like racist against ducts that mount to the motor mount base. I much prefer the Cinewhoop style, and you can't do this on a tiny whoop. I much prefer this way of mounting a duct, where you mount it out here, where it's actually going to get hit, right? Like when you hit shit on a Cinewhoop, it hits out here right on top of the mount, and it's incredibly strong, and it really, like, but obviously we can't do that on a tiny whoop. And so when you have the standard, the traditional tiny whoop frame, it's a lot closer to that because the ducts are tied together here and here and here and here. And then of course you have the nice molded battery tray. But this is really cool. I gotta be honest, I did not think I was gonna be as okay with this as I thought I was gonna like hate the build, which I kind of did, if I'm honest. But it wasn't that bad. I mean, we got it done. But then I thought that I was just going to obliterate motors with this. And we slammed it pretty hard, and two of these motor shafts are a little bit bent. They might have been bent before, though. I think they bent a little bit because we saw some stuff coming down the stairs after that second hard wreck that wasn't there before. So yeah, that remains my number one hesitancy about this build. But this was nowhere near a good enough test. Oh, this shaft is starting to slip too. This was nowhere near a good enough test. The only way for me to really test this frame would be to put it onto one of these guys that I have lots and lots and lots of batteries through. So maybe I'll do that. No promises, but maybe I'll do that. Let me get caught up on chat real quick, and then we'll shut this down, because good lord, it's late, and I'm hungry, and I have to piss and shit and puke. 661 says, time to troll Trappy with ELRS comments. Fractal Engineer says, about serviceability on a plastic frame, when you break a duct, replace the whole frame much quicker on F65 for my racers. Very true. Although I've actually never broken one of these Meteor 65 frames, and the folks that watch these Whoop Wednesday streams would tell you that sometimes it's almost like I'm trying to break these Meteor 65 frames. So yeah, with this particular frame at this all up weight, it's just indestructible. So unfortunate, but absolutely right. Three screws is much easier than 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 screws. So that is absolutely the truth. Unfortunately, it's comparing something that's, for me at least, has been indestructible. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that goes out the window. Michael DFPV says, "Do you think the screws pushed into the motor PCB is what's messing up how it's flying now?" I don't, because if you have a motor screw going into the windings, it makes the situation way worse. This was flying totally normal, imperceptibly different from when it was in the plastic frame until that big slam. And we were getting fairly normal runtime too. So yeah, if you have a screw into windings, the runtime is just, the runtime gets cut by like 30%. It's like very, very, very noticeable. Michael D says, "It was cool watching the Fractal build. Now I want to get my Fractal65 built. Thank you." You're certainly welcome. Those of you that do Fractal builds, do me a favor. Try really hard to, as objectively as possible, review it before and after. Get some run times, and yeah, let's do what we do as the Gangly Gang, and collectively pool our knowledge and intelligence and resources together. And yeah, cool. Thanks for hanging, friends. Here comes some random flying. I'm actually working on an edit to this that I played at the beginning of the stream. This is some of the work that I did with a artist earlier this year, I guess, named 2 Feet Beano. And yeah, let me give you a little bit of copyright-free music. And I'll see you guys on Friday at 7, as usual. Shout out to Fractal Designs for creating an awesome product that I had a blast testing out, and I'm intrigued enough that I think I might put one onto an ultimate freestyle build and see how it does. No promises, because I got lots of stuff to test. Computer, can you be cool? Can you be cool, computer? Give me some epidemic sounds. Give me some. Nope, that ain't what I want. Give me some like trap, yo. Where's the trap at? Oh man, the computer's having a fucking heart attack with this footage. Why? Why are you playing this at 1 frame per second? This is a good jam for it, but I need. What the fuck? Oh, come on. Might be because Premiere's running in the background. Oh, it's because Media Player's running in the background. Or Media Encoder, rather. Alright, friends. Thanks for hanging. Hopefully this plays a little bit better. Yeah, there it goes. See you Friday, friends. 7 o'clock Eastern. Be there or I'll stab you. Later! Hang on. Just kidding. Here you go.